Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 5 of What If Naruto Was Reborn with all his memories. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. Naruto stared up at the nine-tailed fox within the cage, refusing to back down as the creature glared down at him. The drips and drops of water coming from the pipes about in the sewer that was home to the demon were all Naruto could hear, bar the Kyuubi's growling breaths. Naruto ignored the damp feeling on his ankles from the water that constantly flooded the corridors and crossed his arms, waiting for some kind of reaction. Well. Naruto blinked. You wanted to talk, you haven't even said anything yet, fleshbag. The Kyuubi growled as he glared down at his host. He was a little off-put by the unusual bluntness and lack of snide remarks or threats from the beast, but Naruto regained his composure immediately. You were pumping chakra into my veins during my fight with Orochimaru. Naruto accused, pointing at the creature. Was I? The demon scoffed, surprising Naruto with his reply. I haven't done a damn thing since you talked to me last. Huh, but I know I was using your chakra. Naruto proclaimed, causing the Biju to arch an eyebrow at him. Maybe not consciously, but I know it was you. You took advantage of my anger and exerted your chakra when I was fighting Orochimaru. Brat, I meant what I said. The Kyuubi countered, growling as he glared at his host. I haven't done anything, nor have I released my chakra at all since our last discussion. Hell, I haven't been able to release any chakra at all. Wah, yes you did, Naruto pressed on, not buying the Kyuubi's lie for a second. I was using your chakra. No you weren't. Yes I was. No you weren't. Yes I was. No you weren't. The Kyuubi roared, the force behind the beast's furious shout blowing Naruto away from the cage. The boy landed in the water with a loud splash. It's my damn chakra, and if I say you weren't using it, then you weren't using it. Naruto lifted himself out of the water. His face was one of suspicion and doubt, mixed with slight apprehension and fear. The Jinchuriki slowly approached the cage again. That doesn't make any sense though, Naruto said, puzzled by what the Kyuubi was claiming. Yujiro told me that she felt the Kyuubi's chakra reacting, and my physical features changed like they always do when I use your chakra. How do you explain that? HMPH. I suppose I should have expected you to figure it out for yourself. The demon growled in annoyance. And I suppose I shouldn't say that you weren't using my chakra, since I guess that's not entirely true. You're not making any sense, furball. Naruto shouted. First you say that I wasn't using it, and then you tell me the opposite. Make up your mind. Fool, the chakra you were using wasn't borrowed from me. It was already present within your own chakra system. The Kyuubi barked, surprising Naruto again. The Kyuubi grumbled, even in death that annoying blonde still found a way to anger me. Annoying blonde? Dad, Naruto asked, what are you talking about? I should be stronger than this. The Kyuubi muttered angrily, if I was at full strength I should be able to break this seal and set myself free. But that accursed human, your father, he took my chakra from me again. Wah, Naruto recoiled. I don't understand. The Yondaime was dead. The part of his father that was sealed inside him had been given up to allow him a second chance at life along with whatever remained of his mother. How could he have taken the Kyuubi's chakra? When the Yondaime sealed me away during your first life, he sealed half of my chakra within you and the other half within himself. Only my yang chakra was accessible from within this prison, while my yin chakra was kept away from me. The Kyuubi growled in frustration. Without his chakra, even after you were brought back, the rest of my chakra should have been returned to me since it had nowhere else to go. However, the new seal that was made for you inside the realm between life and death sealed my yin chakra away again. Not only that, but that damn blonde used your chakra to contain it this time. What are you saying? That irritating man mixed my yin chakra with your own. The Kyuubi said, his tone filled with anger and disgust. I realized this when I couldn't break out myself and why I only had half my power. He sealed away half my chakra inside your own and away from me, allowing you to use some of my chakra whenever you wish. No way. Naruto shook his head, unable to believe it. You must be joking. Why on earth would I joke about something like this? The Kyuubi spat. Knowing that you are using my chakra as you please annoys me to no end. I didn't even know, Naruto admitted, surprising the demon. I never even used your chakra until now. You must have used it unconsciously when you fought that mortal who smells of snakes. Kyuubi told him, and since my kind are the scum of the earth and beings created to raise and cause destruction, my chakra obviously reacted to your negative emotions. Your anger allowed you to tap into some of my chakra that the Yondaime sealed in you. I can use your chakra, Naruto muttered, amazed at what his father had done. Yet another unexpected bonus his parents had left him with. Grar gh. That damn arrogant blonde and his seals. I hate seals. If it weren't for him I wouldn't be trapped like this. The Kyuubi raged a bit before calming down. He growled in distaste. Still, if I didn't hate him so much I would compliment him on his ability in the craft. This is great, Naruto shouted, bringing the Kyuubi's attention back to his host. Naruto pumped his fists as he smiled. If I can use your power willingly, then when I fight Orochimaru again I might be able to. Ha, don't rejoice yet, fleshbag. Naruto's mood descended when he heard the demon laugh. While that snake wannabe is nothing more than an insect to me, he is considered one of the strongest among your kind. The Kyuubi scoffed, and if I remember correctly, this was the same mortal who was able to hold his own against your four-tailed form, was he not? Naruto became even more discouraged by the demon's words. Orochimaru was strong when he was at full strength, and since he would be taking Naruto seriously, he would use all that power to make sure he slaughtered the Jinchuriki during their next encounter. Not only that, but human and demon chakra can never truly mix. The Yondaime's primary goal was to seal half of my chakra away so I couldn't break out, not so you could use it. You may be able to access some of my chakra, but you'll never be able to use all of it. It's still my chakra, after all. With what you can use, only your one-tailed form would be available to you. The Kyuubi smirked. Anything more and you'd have to get it directly from me. Naruto cursed under his breath. That was another thing he had come to ask about. While having his own share of the Kyuubi's chakra was unexpected but fortunate gift, he doubted that it would be enough to take down Orochimaru at full strength. He had actually come not only to address the demon's possible attempts to break free, but to also see if they could negotiate a truce. Orochimaru was just one threat, and a minor one when compared to the whole of Akatsuki. Naruto knew if he had any hope of surviving what would come in the future, he would need the Kyuubi's help and cooperation. He had stressed this during their last talk, not only in hopes that Naruto would survive, but so the Kyuubi would live. That's actually something else I wanted to talk about, Naruto started, but the Kyuubi interrupted him. Still, I must commend you for your work, fleshbag. The Kyuubi said, startling Naruto by the approval in his tone. What you did to that snake wannabe certainly gave me a chuckle. For someone who thinks of himself as an immortal he sure is fragile. To think one surprise attack could take him down so easily. He took 2 Rasengans to the face. Naruto pointed out. And, is that considered impressive among your kind? My kind could endure an attack like that and not even get a scratch to show for it. The Kyuubi bragged. Without senjutsu, your attacks would only be a mild irritation. Naruto's shoulders slumped at the Kyuubi's point. When they had fought for dominance in his past life, the only reason he was able to separate the Kyuubi's chakra and use it for himself was because he could use Sage Mode. Not only that, but his mother had held the Biju down with her chakra chains while he pummeled the beast with Great Ball Rasengans that numbered close to 100. And if he remembered his fight with the Sandy back in Wave, the demon had also been very durable. Even in a weakened state it took a wind chakra-enhanced Rasengan to the forehead to beat it. Naruto's train of thought broke when the Kyuubi continued. But for an inferior human you've done well for yourself. Certainly a lot more than you did in our past life. The Kyuubi went on. Naruto blinked. Was the Kyuubi complimenting him? I'll admit that you proved me wrong, fleshbag. The Kyuubi remarked. I was sure that you didn't have what it takes to change things, but you've done it. You saved that mist swordsman and that girl and sealed away the Sanbi. You even managed to get in contact with the Rokubi and have allied yourself with the Ikibi container and future Cage. Even the Mizukage has agreed to help you. And even without me, you held own against that snake Sanin. You're slowly becoming a container that's worthy of housing the most powerful being in existence. Kyuubi. And I know what the future holds. I've been thinking, giving it some thought, and I understand what that Uchiha scum is capable of doing. I will not become his tool again, the Kyuubi growled as he thought of Madara. The beast quickly composed itself and cleared its throat. Which is why I've... The Biju mumbled something under his breath. Naruto blinked, wondering if he was hearing things. Could you repeat that again? Naruto asked tentatively. The Kyuubi let out an angry sigh. Which is why I've decided that I will help you change the future and put our differences and my extreme loathing of you aside for now so that we can. Yes, Naruto cheered, cutting the Kyuubi off. Finally, we can work together. You can give me your chakra and then I can. Silence. The Kyuubi roared, slamming on the bars of the cage and effectively silencing his exuberant host. Naruto shrank back when the demon's ire was directed towards him. You will not use me as a tool, do you understand that? My chakra is not for you to use whenever you feel like it. This is self-preservation, nothing more. I'm agreeing to work together for our mutual benefit, and you will treat me with the respect I deserve, or I'll just laugh when that snake wannabe comes back to crush you. Dying is more merciful than becoming your slave, fleshbag, and we both know that there won't be a third chance to do things over. Naruto nodded meekly but quickly recovered and stared up at the beast. While he was happy that the Kyuubi had said he'd help, they could just be words. How could Naruto be sure if the demon actually meant it? How do I know I can trust you? Naruto asked. How do I know you won't try and take over my body when I use your chakra? Under normal circumstances, you couldn't. However, this is a special case. The Kyuubi answered dismissively, though Naruto could tell he was still annoyed. I hate you, and the thought of working together with you sickens me. But if I have the opportunity to pay that arrogant Uchiha vermin back, if I get the chance to show Madara his place, I can tolerate putting up with you for a little while longer. He didn't think it was possible, but Naruto honestly thought that the fox sounded sincere. Even if it was a strained partnership, the Kyuubi had agreed to help him in the end. And regardless of the animosity between the two, Naruto was happy with this development. Oi, furball, Naruto called. The beast growled in response to the nickname. What is it, fleshling? Thanks, Naruto beamed. You have no idea what this means to me. Faye, I'm only doing this so that I can survive, and you've proven that you aren't the useless sack of bones I previously took you for. The Kyuubi scoffed. Don't come back here unless I call you or it's something urgent. Thank you. Naruto bowed to the Kyuubi, showing his respect and gratitude. The Kyuubi rolled his eyes. Whatever. Now, get out of my sight. Your continued presence only serves to annoy me. Naruto smiled, nodding once before saluting the beast before closing his eyes. He murmured one last thank you before his vision went black. XXXXX. Naruto yawned as he sat up from the bed he had collapsed on. He smiled as he thought back to his conversation with the Kyuubi. That went way better than I expected, Naruto mused as he got off the bed. What had made the Kyuubi so cooperative all of a sudden? The beast was stubborn, and his mentality of, demons are superior to humans, normally wouldn't warrant an alliance, even if he was the fox's host. While grateful and feeling extremely optimistic, Naruto couldn't help but question the demon's motives. Still, maybe this partnership was genuine. Kyuubi did hate Madara and had expressed that fact many times in the past, and while he hated his host, his hate for the ancient Uchiha was far greater. It could be the Kyuubi's own selfishness and need to survive, knowing that if he agreed to help him he'd have a better chance to stay alive. Or maybe he was just putting up a front so he could try to break the seal when Naruto least expected it. Any of these reasons could be valid. Even knowing that and being well aware of the fox's sadistic, hostile nature, the naive part of Naruto hoped that through this partnership he would come to better understand the fox. Maybe the fox would grow out of its hate for him. They may even grow to have a bond similar to Bee and the Hachibi. That's a little too much to hope for, Naruto thought, chuckling at the unrealistically optimistic prospect. Either way, it was the beginning of a beautiful tolerance. And he healed my back up for me too. Naruto grinned. He took his shirt off and removed the bandages Yujiro had placed on his back to close the wound. The soreness and lingering pain was gone. Nothing was left of the wound Kabuto had inflicted on him. Naruto left the room to go find Gaara. He had been meaning to chat with his fellow Jinchuriki, but his talk with the Kyuubi had come first, shortly followed by the need to rest after all he had gone through during the second exam. Enduring the exams twice was proving to be quite the challenge, even if he was prepared this time around. A few corridors down was the room the Sand siblings were currently occupying. Kankuro did his best to ignore Gaara while he fixed up his puppet for the next test, while Temari tried to do the same, though she really didn't have anything to occupy herself with. Both of them would occasionally shoot worried glances at their little brother, his angry expression scaring them out of their wits. Unbeknownst to them, Gaara's anger was not directed towards either of his siblings. He was angry that he couldn't catch Kabuto during the second exams. Not only did the traitor have the potential to become one of the greatest threats he and Naruto would ever face, but he had his own vendetta against the glasses-wearing ninja. Kabuto had been the one responsible for killing him in their past life. More than anything, Gaara wanted a chance to pay him back for what happened in the past. A single knock sounded from their door. It wasn't even a knock, but more of a light tap that was barely noticeable. Kankuro was too absorbed with Crow to even take notice, and only Temari raised her head. She gave the door a curious glance before shrugging and picking up a small book close to their desk. Both of the siblings stiffened when their younger brother rose to his feet a minute later. "I'm going out," Gaara stated bluntly, the dangerous edge in his voice making his older siblings shudder involuntarily. The Aikibi container quickly made his way out the door, muttering something incomprehensible under his breath. As Gaara stepped into the corridor, he took a quick look around to find the halls completely vacant. He turned to his left and started down the hall, only stopping when he rounded the corner. "Yo!" Naruto grinned as he pushed himself off the wall he'd been leaning against and gave a peace sign in greeting. He could see the Aikibi container visibly relax as he dropped his mask of anger and offered the Kyuubi a small smile. Gaara's shoulders slumped as he took on a more apologetic expression. Naruto could see that the boy was still angry as well. "Sorry," Gaara murmured, clenching his fists as his sides. "I let Kabuto get." "Stop." Naruto held up his hand, cutting the boy up. He gave the boy a sheepish look. "It's not like everything's going to turn out the way we want them to, right?" Gaara sighed and gave his fellow Jinchuriki a light smile. He was happy to see that Naruto wasn't angry with him for his failure, even if he himself was still irritated by it. He felt that he should be grateful that Naruto was such an easygoing, forgiving individual. "Besides, I can't really be mad at you when things didn't really turn out the way I wanted them to either." Naruto sighed as a frustrated look flashed across his features. Gaara raised his eyebrows. "You didn't kill Orochimaru." It was a statement, and even after coming to terms with letting the snaky bastard slip away, hearing it still irked him. "It's what I was hoping for, and it would have been the best case scenario," Naruto said. He shook his head. "We'll have another chance soon. At the end of the day I still beat the bastard and I was able to keep him from marking Sasuke." The two boys started to walk down the hallway at a leisurely pace, making sure that they kept away from people who were walking around. It wouldn't Gaara's reputation any good if he were to be found having a casual conversation with Konoha's resident knucklehead. "If only things were so easy," Gaara commented as they walked down the hall. "I assume that the Hokage is being notified of Orochimaru's infiltration." "Yeah, Kakashi-sensei went to go tell him after he talked with me. Now that he's made a move we can tell others without being strapped to Ibiki's interrogation table for knowing something nobody else does," Naruto said. "Do you think Orochimaru will make a move on Sasuke before the finals to make up for his failure today?" Gaara asked. I don't think we have to worry about that." Naruto grinned, making Gaara arch an eyebrow in mild surprise. "I may not have killed him, but 3 Rasengans to the face did a great job of pulverizing him into a bloody mess. With luck, we won't have to worry about Orochimaru until the finals." "That's somewhat reassuring," Gaara nodded, although, this may prompt more of his agents to act in his place. Kabuto has already infiltrated Konoha, and who's to say that the Sound Four aren't lurking around somewhere within the village? The Hokage is already being notified. Since we'll be somewhat aware of his infiltration beforehand, the Anbu will probably bunker down and increase security. And if they're smart they'll comb their ranks to expose any worms that have already snuck in." Gaara added. "Even then it won't be enough, but it's certainly more than was done last time when we were unaware and careless." Naruto smiled, agreeing with the boy. Even if he was worried about what was to come, it was nice knowing what to do and how to act for a change. Rather than carelessly jumping into the fray with no plan in mind had worked in his past life, and looking back he was amazed at how lucky he had been. "It's kinda nice being the smart one for once," Naruto thought. Planning ahead for a change did wonders. A groan from beside him brought his attention to the Aikibi container. Naruto's eyes widened when he found Gaara leaning against the wall, clutching the side of his face. His legs were unsteady, and Naruto couldn't tell if the noise he was making was a moan or a growl. "Gaara," Naruto exclaimed, grabbing the boy's shoulders and giving him a couple shakes. "Are you okay?" It's nothing," Gaara groaned, bringing his hands away from his face as his eyes refocused. The Aikibi has been extremely restless lately." "From the memories?" Naruto asked, giving his friend a sympathetic look. "Yes," Gaara nodded as his head throbbed. "He's panicking, scared. The Aikibi wants out, and whether or not that's so he can hide or kill everything within a 15-mile radius, I can't be sure. Personally I'm betting on the latter." Gaara's seal had always been the unstable one and nowhere near as confining or solid as the one Naruto was given. A sacrifice, Gaara's own mother, had been used to create the seal, and even then it wasn't enough. The boy couldn't even sleep unless he wanted the demon to take over his body and destroy everything around him. "I don't suppose that improved seal you said you'd make is ready yet?" Gaara asked. Sorry. It's getting there, but it's not complete yet. Naruto smiled sheepishly as Gaara's shoulders slumped. But it won't be too long. Give me and Yuzura a couple more days and you might even get a decent night of sleep. That's something to look forward to. Gaara frowned as he clutched his forehead. I only hope my nerves can last. Well, what did you do to suppress the Aikibi in the past? You didn't seem to have any problems as Cage. Naruto pointed out. I could ignore him. I rejected him. It was easier then, Gaara said with a grim expression. Now the Aikibi has a reason to be afraid, and he's being very vocal about his fear of the future. It's a reaction brought upon by the need to survive, and he's not entirely happy with what I'm doing. Naruto frowned as Gaara clutched his head. He wished there was something he could do to help him, but since the seal wasn't completed there was nothing he could do too. Hey, flashbag, channel some of my chakra into the whelp. Naruto's eyes widened as a familiar voice penetrated his thoughts. Kyuubi. I don't like dealing with that bratty tanuki if I can help it, and Shinigami knows we demons hate associating with each other, but the damn raccoon needs to get a grip. The Kyuubi growled disdainfully. It doesn't need to be a lot. Hell, any amount should be enough to get the message across. The raccoon has always been a bloody coward. Naruto honestly didn't expect to hear from the Kyuubi so soon. He grimaced when he realized this was probably going to be a recurring interaction. Now that they weren't at each other's throats there would probably be more open communication. But what the Kyuubi was saying, was it just an excuse to leak some of his chakra out? Well, what are you waiting for? You want to help your friend, don't you? It was bait, and Naruto took it. He grasped onto Gaara's shoulders and concentrated on exerting some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto guessed it couldn't be from his own private reserve since it was technically mixed with his, so he had to use the Kyuubi's chakra. Besides, it wasn't as if using a little of the Kyuubi's chakra was going to break the seal. If that was possible, the Kyuubi would have broken out long ago in his past life. What Naruto didn't expect was for a sudden burst of red chakra to surge forth and send a surprised Gaara tumbling across the floor. Naruto yelped and rushed over to his friend. Holy shit, Gaara, I'm so sorry. Fur ball, what the hell was that? Naruto roared in his mind. Quit whining, it worked didn't it? Like hell it did, that's the last time I ever use. Gaara slowly picked himself off the ground and stood on his feet. Naruto gave him a worried look as he started babbling apologies. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. The Kyuubi told me that if I used his chakra he could. No, it's fine, Gaara said. His tone was somewhat amazed as he rubbed his forehead. The Aikibi, it's calmed down. What did you do? Naruto blinked as he sheepishly scratched the back of his head. The Kyuubi told me that if I channeled some of his chakra into you he could get the Aikibi to calm down. I didn't think that it worked. What did you do? I asserted who was the alpha male. The Kyuubi cackled. That should shut him up for a while. Naruto blinked when the demon didn't speak up again. He wondered what exactly the Kyuubi had done. Maybe it was something like his mindscape and he was able to temporarily communicate with the Aikibi. Time moved differently in mindscape, so who knows how long the demons had talked if that was the case. The Kyuubi, Gaara questioned, snapping Naruto out of his thoughts. But why would he? I had been meaning to tell you that, Naruto said. Fur ball and I have come to a bit of an understanding. It seems he's willing to work together for the greater good. Gaara gave Naruto a disbelieving look. Seriously? It's not like we're friends out of the blue or anything. I'm not Naruto said, holding up his hands. It's just self-preservation on his part, and I honestly don't think there's any more to it. It's purely business. Can you really believe that? Demons. They are cunning creatures. The Aikibi was cosplaying as my mother, and before I met you I couldn't see it for what the demon really was. Gaara said, referencing to their battle in the past. I can understand why the Kyuubi might agree to help you, but don't think that he won't take the opportunity to free himself if it ever sees the chance. I know that, but, Naruto sighed, fixing Gaara with a serious look. We need the demons if we have any hope of defeating Madara and the Akatsuki. As much as we may not like to admit it, without their powers our odds of winning drastically decrease, and Senjutsu only got me so far in the past. Between his first battle against Pain and against Madara's army, it would have helped a lot more if the Kyuubi had been a little more cooperative. I know you're right, but do you really think the Biju will agree to it? Gaara asked, arching an eyebrow. I don't know how B was able to do it, and I still can't believe the Kyuubi has agreed to help, but we assume the other Biju will help us or their containers. I never even tried to associate myself with my demon, only focusing on repressing it to show others that I wasn't the monster I had become. I doubt the Biju will submit before inferior humans. Then I really hope they have enough self-preservation to tolerate working with us. Naruto said, casting a worried glance over to Gaara. If they don't, there's a greater risk of things repeating themselves. Gaara nodded with a grim expression on his face, knowing that eventually he would have to ask his demon for help. It wasn't something he was keen on doing, but necessary to prepare for what was to come. XXXXX. Naruto yawned as he walked down the corridors towards the mess hall. His stomach rumbled in anticipation for the meal to come. He had promised to meet up with his teammates for lunch and had just got done talking with Gaara. It was the most he could for his friends since Naruto was the only one he could talk to normally for now. It was the third day of the second exam and he hadn't heard anything from Kakashi about any more teams reaching the tower yet. Haku had taken to the field again yesterday and reported earlier that morning that people were getting close. She even speculated that some teams would arrive today. Naruto only hoped that his friends would make it through the exams again. Still, he couldn't help but wonder if the changes he had made to certain events would affect his friends negatively in some way. Granted, the changes that he'd made so far were minor, bearing Orochimaru's defeat and Sasuke's not getting marked, but he never knew when changing things may have unexpected consequences. Kabuto seems more perceptive than last time, Naruto thought worriedly, thinking of one example. Then again, that traitor had always known more than he had led others to believe. TCH. These exams really do suck. Naruto's head snapped up when laughing voices were heard down the corridor. His eyes widened when he noticed three familiar forms. Those Rain Ninja, Naruto murmured as he stared at their masked faces. He and his team had run into them once during the exams in his past life and again in the Tea Country during a mission. Team 7 had beaten them both times they encountered the Omegaker team, but why were they in the tower now? Well, we didn't run into them this time, so maybe they were able to nab a scroll from another team instead of us, Naruto thought to himself. Naruto broke out of his musings when a distinct thumping sound was heard. And not only that, but we have to deal with trash like you too. One of the Rain Ninja sighed in mocking melodrama as his companions cackled beside him. Another thwacking sound was heard. Why you? Are they harassing another team? Naruto thought as his body moved before his brain caught up with it. He sprinted down the hallway and jumped as he got close to the laughing Rain Ninja. Their revelry and good humor was abruptly ended when a short blonde kick landed a flying side kick into the ringleader's face. Gwa, what the hell? The team collapsed on the ground clutching the side of his face. One teammate quickly bent down to help his fallen comrade while the other grabbed the front of Naruto's shirt in a threatening gesture. Hey, what did you do that for, punk? Let go of me. Naruto glared at the opposing ninja, smirking as two clones poofed into existence and pushed the surprised Omegaker ninja off of him. What? Why can Bunshins touch? These aren't regular clones. They're just as real as me. Naruto smirked as he poked one clone's cheek as an example. Besides, you shouldn't be causing any trouble. You already passed, so you don't have a reason to pick a fight with other teams yet. You little brat, the leader snarled as he slowly stood up. If you think you're gonna get away with this. The team of Rain Ninja blinked when there were suddenly 10 blonde brats in the hallway with them. Now, you can take my advice and go on your way, or I can show you just how many clones I can make. Naruto smiled disarmingly. They aren't bad fighters either. The Rain Ninja glanced at each other nervously before turning on their heels and walking down the hall. They all threw one last glare at the blonde before turning around a corner. Damn, that was badass. Naruto thought smugly as he watched the ninja go. Now, let's see who they were, huh? When Naruto turned around, he finally realized which team the Omegaker ninja had been harassing. Oh. Staring at him with various expressions of surprise and annoyance were the team from Sound. Orochimaru's lackeys, Naruto thought, panicking inside his mind. Shit, weren't these the pricks that attacked Sasuke and Sakura in the forest last time? The genin all stared at him with suspicious expressions on their faces. Well, the kid with the Kakashi-style hair and the girl did. The mummy just looked annoyed, if not a little ticked off. The other boy looked a little roughed up. He'd probably been the one the Rain Ninja had been pushing around. Who the hell are you? The girl asked, arching an eyebrow in suspicion. Why'd you help us? It sounded like those guys were messing with another team, so I thought I'd lend a hand. Naruto said quickly. What reason did you have? The girl asked. Naruto blinked when the girl glared at him. Guess she didn't buy the fact that he'd helped them out of the kindness of his heart, but really it was because Naruto hadn't exactly known who he'd been helping out either. They pissed me off, Naruto stated shortly, the reason suddenly popping into his head. Surprisingly, this elicited expressions of approval from the girl and younger boy, while the mummy just arched an eyebrow. Huh, and here I thought all you Konoha ninja were a bunch of pussies. Kin smiled, holding out her hand. Naruto blinked in surprise. Kin Tsuchi. Ignoring the implied insult, I'm Naruto, the blonde muttered unsurely as he shook the girl's hand. Name's Zaku, the other boy broke in convivially as he smiled at the younger boy. He jabbed his thumb backwards towards the mummy. Don't mind Dosu, he's not really a person. Don't say unnecessary things, Zaku, Dosu said, giving the other teen a glare. So, why was another team messing with you? Naruto asked, continuing the conversation even though his mind was screaming for him to get away and stop talking with the enemy. Those assholes just thought they'd pick on the newbies is all. Zaku growled, gesturing to the symbol on his forehead. Otogakure's a new village, see. There are a lot of other ninja who think we're just a bunch of weaklings who can be kicked around. Yeah, there was this other four-eyed twerp and his team from your village who were insulting us in our country before the exams even started. Kin frowned. She winked and gave Naruto a smile. But I guess all Konoha ninja don't have their heads up their asses. Some can actually hold conversation. Well, all great villages start out small, Naruto said, trying to discreetly back away from the group of ninja. You, shouldn't underestimate, people because you never know when they could surprise you. Kami, that sounded so awkward. This was surprising, if not a little scary. Why were they being so nice to him? Naruto remembered these guys being dangerous ninja who laughed at other people's torment and pain. They hurt his friends, so why the hell was he still talking to them? And despite his unsure words, they really seemed to please the people in front of him. I like you, kid. Zaku grinned, wrapping an arm around his shoulder. If we have to fight each other during the exams, I'll make sure your death is quick and painless. If that was supposed to be a joke, Naruto wasn't laughing. Should we really be conversing with the enemy? Dosu spoke up, getting everyone's attention. Like Zaku said, we may have to end up killing him soon. Oh, don't be such a stick in the mud, Dosu. Kin pouted, grabbing onto Naruto's arm, much to his surprise. Don't chase away the only friendly person we've met since coming here. He wasn't so friendly before, Dosu muttered, giving Naruto a small glare. Naruto's eyes widened when he realized why Dosu was being so hostile. He remembered their brief interaction before the first exam when Naruto had chased the mummy off in an attempt to work off some of the anger that had been generated by his conversing with Kabuto. Naruto gave Dosu an unsure smile. Sorry about that. See, I think I know that four-eyed twerp you guys mentioned earlier. Naruto muttered, he was annoying me too, and I guess I kinda took it out on you. The guy really knows how to tick someone off. Dosu stared at him for a moment before closing his eyes. Naruto was surprised when a noise that sounded like a muffled laugh came from the teen. Quite, Dosu chuckled. Dosu being friendly, will wonders never cease? Zaku laughed. He grinned down at Naruto. Hey, we were just about to go get lunch before those rain bastards came along. Wanna come with? No, that's okay. Naruto said uneasily as he tried to look for a way to escape. Don't be shy. We were just beginning to be such good friends. Kin grinned. I actually agreed to meet with my teammates for lunch, Naruto said a bit more firmly as he pried the girl's fingers off his arm and slipped out of Zaku's grasp. Maybe next time. With those parting words, Naruto shot down the hall and away from the shockingly sociable Oto ninja. What the hell, what the hell, what the hell? Naruto thought rapidly as he ran down the halls and towards the mess hall. Why weren't they acting like complete assholes? Why did they suddenly like me so much? Shouldn't they be threatening to kill me just because I'm from another village? Suddenly, a memory flashed through Naruto's mind, causing the boy to slowly come to a halt. He suddenly remembered his venture to Otogakure with Sakura and Jiraiya in the past. Maybe they were just happy to meet someone who didn't treat them like they were trash. Naruto muttered as he remembered Sasama and the people from her clan. Naruto realized that while there were those like Kabuto and his teammates that actually enjoyed others' suffering, there were plenty of people under Orochimaru who served him because of their blind loyalty to the man. Not everyone in Otogakure was a violent murderer or hated everyone who looked at them the wrong way. Many of Otogakure's residents were people who had been cast out of their homes, orphans who had been given a place to stay, people who desired to be strong or clans who wanted to regain their former glory. Sasama and her people had been one of those clans. While there were a handful of sound ninja who would laugh as they killed, there were many who served Orochimaru because they saw him as their savior, unaware that the man who they saw as a hero would abandon or dispose of them when it was convenient for him. Suddenly Naruto realized many of the people who had been recruited and brought into Otogakure by Orochimaru were just like him. People who were lonely and just wanted a place to stay and find others who cared about them. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki idly wondered if he would have been one of those blind followers if Orochimaru had tried to pick him up when he was younger. Naruto shuddered as he squashed the thought, quickly proceeding towards the mess hall and hoping his teammates wouldn't chew him out for being late. XXXXX. Naruto slurped up the ramen loudly as he immediately reached for Kiba's untouched bowl of ramen, ignoring his friend's attempts to ward him off. After he finished off Kiba's bowl he tried reaching for Sakura's bowl only to have a fork stab his open palm. YEOWCH. Stop doing that, Naruto. Anyo, you can have mine if you want, Naruto-kun. Oh, thanks Hinata. Troublesome. The rookie nine were all crowded onto the table, happily enjoying each other's company as they ate dinner. It was the last day of the second exams and it didn't look like any more teams were going to arrive. Team 8 and 10 had arrived to the tower on the fourth day and had been greeted by Team 7. From that point on, they had all enjoyed the brief breather they had before the next part of the exams started. There was plenty of food, but between Naruto's attempts to steal everyone's ramen and Choji's inhaling half of the food, it was going to be a short meal. Team Guy sat near the end of the table, thought Lee and Tenten had slowly immersed themselves within the group while Neji maintained his distance. Naruto would occasionally meet his glares when he focused his hatred and loathing on the Hyuga heiress sitting beside the Jinchuriki. Other than Neji, Naruto also tried his best to ignore the Omegakure ninja who were glaring into his back. He had earned the team's ire from their interaction a couple days ago. Naruto glanced back towards them and saw the leader bring his thumb across his neck in a cutting gesture, a direct threat to the blonde. The Suna siblings kept to themselves in the corner of the mess hall while eating the meal in silence. Kankuro and Tamari wouldn't even look at Gaara, who was trying his best to maintain his mask of hatred. The sound team also kept to themselves, though Kin and Zaku had waved at Naruto in greeting upon entering the cafeteria earlier, with the blonde quickly returning the gesture. Naruto didn't want to seem unfriendly since he admitted being liked by them was better than being hated, and he did sympathize with the team somewhat. Most everyone tried to ignore the Anbu who stood by the doors. Kakashi had already told the Hokage of Orochimaru's attack on his team and security had been increased as a result. Sasuke now had a small team of Anbu trailing him no matter where he went within to the tower, which was a huge blow to his ego. Naruto and Kiba's teasing didn't help things either. Hey, did you guys hear that there's gonna be a preliminary round before the finals start? Ino asked the group. Really? Naruto asked, feigning ignorance. Why would they do that? Apparently too many people passed, so they want to knock off the numbers. Shikamaru sighed as he shoved his plate towards Choji, which the voracious genin gladly accepted. What, we have to take another stupid test after coming all this way? Kiba groaned. It's not like the others. The prelims are just gonna be straightforward fighting matches and whoever wins goes to the finals. Ino elaborated. Certainly more preferable than the tasks we have been assigned to do thus far. Shino commented. It's less troublesome than taking a test or hunting for scrolls, Shikamaru agreed. Though I'm not really looking forward to a fight. It's simple, and just what I need. Naruto grinned. He stepped onto the table and crossed his arms as he stared down at his friends. You guys are going down. In your dreams, Kiba laughed, stepping onto the table with Naruto. I'll be the one punching your number. Yosh, my flames are burning hot. Lee shouted, standing up with Naruto and Kiba. I shall not lose. Get off the table, Lee. Naruto-kun, Kiba-kun. Dobi, stop stepping in my food. UWOH, which one of you stepped on the last potato chip? How troublesome. Indeed. Naruto grinned as Kiba grabbed him in a headlock and attempted to box with Lee at the same time. It was times like these that he felt he could truly relax and forget about everything that would come to bite him later. He enjoyed these moments with his friends, and hoped that there would be an opportunity to have more of these moments when the exams finally ended. Naruto also made a note to sneak out when nobody was looking. He had promised to meet with Haku and Yujiro for dessert later that evening. XXXXX. Naruto stood in the center of the pack of genin who had managed to pass the exam. Each genin stood in a row of 3 with their teammates. Naruto glanced around at the competition. Everyone he remembered was here, bar Kabuto's team who had been replaced with the team from Omegakure. Everyone had varying expressions on their faces. Some looked nervous or impatient while others looked very calm. Naruto noted that Gaara was still keeping up his guise as a deranged sociopath and was exerting a lot of killing intent to help keep up appearances. Even knowing that he was faking it, Gaara's expression of bloodlust still made Naruto feel apprehensive. Haku and Anko stood amongst the assembled jonin and exam proctors, having recovered from their wounds. Naruto also took note that the sound team's sensei was absent. The blonde smiled when he was again reminded that Orochimaru wouldn't be able to go anywhere for a while with the injuries he had inflicted on him. Naruto allowed his mind to wander as the Hokage stepped forward and gave his speech about the Chunin exams and his congratulations for making it this far. He had heard it all before, so there was no need to pay attention to what the old man was saying. Naruto wondered if there would be any changes to the matchups this time around. The only variation from the original preliminary exams in his past life was the presence of the Rain Ninja. Would that lead to completely different matchups? A fit of coughing from Hayate brought Naruto out of his musings. The blonde barely recalled the hacking proctor. Does he have cancer or something? Come to think of it, whatever happened to that guy anyway? Naruto wondered, remembering that there had been a completely different proctor overseeing the final exams. Anyway, the computer up there will match you guys up. The match will end if, one of you forfeits, if I think someone can no longer fight, or if one of you, dies, Hayate said, breaking into a fit of coughs as a few genin exchanged nervous glances. I don't suppose any of you want to forfeit now, do you? No one spoke up. Right then, so then that means, Hayate coughed once and counted the genin once before clearing his throat. Since there are an odd number of you, someone is going to, get a free pass to the finals. Everyone's eyes widened at this. So someone wouldn't even have to fight. It was only then that Naruto remembered Kabuto's forfeiting before the prelims had evened out the numbers. Since there was no one who withdrew from the competition, there would be one person who wouldn't have anyone to match up with. Okay, if you'd all direct your attention towards the computer screen so we can see the first match-up, Hayate coughed, gesturing to the large screen. Everyone in the room turned their attention towards the screen. The first 2 names were presented in big, digital letters. Alright then, Sasuke Uchiha and Obara will fight first, Hayate announced, reciting the names on the screen. The rest of you may proceed to the balconies so you can watch the fight without getting caught up in it. Jonin teachers can join their students if they want. The teams retreated to the upper balconies while Sasuke and the leader of the Rain team stayed down to fight. Hayate raised his hand as the fighters stared each other down. First round of the preliminaries, begin. Naruto clicked his tongue as the Rain Ninja foolishly rushed towards Sasuke. If he thought that he could win in a taijutsu match, he was sorely mistaken. The Uchiha easily read the boy's move and jumped upwards, catching the boy's punch and twisting his arm as his foot collided with the side of the Rain Ninja's face. The teen's eyes widened when Sasuke's other foot came down on his stomach, slamming him onto the ground. The Rain Ninja had no time to recover as Sasuke's elbow came down on the genin's throat, effectively finishing the match when the boy's form stilled and drool leaked out of the holes in the breather mask the ninja was wearing. Winner, Sasuke Uchiha, Hayate announced, raising his eyebrows at how short the match had been. Sasuke smirked as he climbed up the stairs towards the balcony. Since he wasn't handicapped from the curse mark Orochimaru would have placed on him, Sasuke was able to fight at full strength. Kakashi nodded in approval towards his student as he smiled underneath his mask. As Sasuke was congratulated by Sakura, Naruto glanced towards Gaara who stood with his team at the opposite side of the balcony. Naruto wondered what Gaara would do during his match. Naruto hoped that he would fight one of the Omegakure ninja, but Gaara couldn't lose in the preliminaries. The worst-case scenario would be if he and Gaara had to fight each other. I really hope that doesn't happen. Naruto grimaced as everyone looked towards the computer screen. A familiar matchup was displayed on the screen above them. Would Shino Aburame and Zaku please come down for their match? Hayate called out. Shino silently took his place while Zaku smirked confidently at his opponent. The sound genin cracked his knuckles as he glared at the Aburame. This is gonna be easy. Zaku smirked. You ready to die, twerp? HMPH. Shino grunted in response. Second round, begin. Zankaha. Zaku shouted as he pointed his air cannons towards Shino and unleashed a torrent of slicing wind towards his opponent. To his surprise, Shino didn't get sliced into tiny bits like he expected, but burst into a cloud of bugs that swarmed towards him at an alarming rate. What the damn bugs? Zaku cursed, being smart enough to try and avoid the cloud that tried to crash into him. He redirected his air cannons towards the swarm. Zankaha. The blast of wind wasn't enough to ward off the bugs, only succeeding in scattering them for a moment before they regrouped. Zaku growled and pointed his hands towards the swarm again. Fine, how this then? Zaku yelled as he gathered up his chakra. Zankakyokua. The swarm was pushed back by the extreme force of wind, and many of the bugs dropped to the ground after having been cut up by the blast of air. Zaku frowned when the bugs came at him again. Damn it, where are you? Zaku shouted. Stop hiding like a coward and fight me. If you insist. Zaku turned and smirked as his opponent stood against the wall. Shino pushed himself off the wall and raised his hands. Well, I'm right here, come at me, Shino said. Cocky little runt. Zaku grunted before pointing his cannons towards Shino. Try dodging this, Zankakyokua. Unfortunately for Zaku, things didn't turn out how he wanted. The sound ninja only had a few seconds to register the pain when his arms exploded from the buildup of chakra that was unable to be properly released. Shino plugged up the holes in that guy's hands with his bugs. Sakura said in an odd voice. Since the chakra was trapped like that. His arms burst. Sasuke finished. Hopefully the medics will be able to do something about that. All of the rookies silently agreed that while Shino didn't seem especially intimidating, he was certainly dangerous as an opponent. When the next round fighters turned out to be Kankuro and another Rain Ninja, Mubi, Naruto noticed that the order of the matches had barely changed at all so far. It seemed like the Rain Ninja had replaced the matchups Kabuto's teammates would have been up against had they survived the second test. While that wasn't exactly a bad thing in Naruto's opinion, it still left the extra Rain Ninja as a wild card, and if any changes were going to take place it would be after the last Omegakure Nin had his match. Naruto winced as Kankuro's puppet clutched onto the struggling Rain Ninja and crushed all the bones it could in a tight constricting motion. Mubi's screams died away as he fell unconscious. Even if things had gone generally the same way so far, it didn't mean things weren't susceptible to change. Naruto kept this in mind as he looked to the screen as it presented the next matchup for the fourth round. Or not. Would Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka please come down for their match? Hayate called amongst a fit of coughs. Well, this is an interesting matchup, Asuma commented as he watched the two girls make their way down to the arena. A match between rivals. More like the biggest catfight of the century. Shikamaru groaned. Wake me when it's over. Naruto and Sasuke glared at the lazy boy for a moment before turning their attention towards the combatants. Both were confident that Sakura could win. Naruto admitted that if Sakura had remained the weakling she was before, it might have ended up like last time. But thanks to Kakashi's training and tips about Tsunade's training exercises from the past, Sakura was far from the weak little fangirl she used to be. She knows the basics now, but it'll be 10 times scarier when she gets direct training from Tsunade. Naruto thought, shuddering as he imagined the monstrous strength Sakura would gain in the future while Hayate raised his hand. Begin. Ready to lose, forehead girl. Ino smiled confidently as she readied her family's secret jutsu. Sakura didn't give her the time to complete it. Thinking quickly, she threw dozens of shuriken and kunai towards her opponent, forcing Ino to drop the hand seal as she dodged them. Sakura quickly rushed towards her opponent as she got in close. Close combat. Didn't know you were a fan of that. Ino smirked, half expecting to dodge kunai and shuriken until Sakura's pouch was empty. It's over, Kakashi commented, eyes not leaving the Ika Ika book in front of him even as Asuma gave him a questioning look. What makes you say that, Kakashi? The match has just started, and don't be so quick to underestimate Ino. She relies too much on her family's jutsu, and since she's engaged Sakura in close combat there's no hope of her winning. Kakashi said simply. He gestured to the arena, cutting off any further arguments Asuma might have had. Ino dodged the punch Sakura threw at her and cocked her own fist back, aiming at the pink-haired girl's jaw when she brought it forward. Ino's eyes widened when Sakura suddenly twisted around her guard and brought a hard fist into her stomach. A single wheeze and gasp was all that came out of Ino's lips as the air was punched from her lungs and Sakura's fist was driven deep into her stomach. The girl collapsed to the ground, completely unconscious. How do like that, Ino pig? Sakura said triumphantly as she stood over her defeated rival. Sakura is the winner of round 4. Hayate commented as a couple of medics took Ino away. Naruto and Sasuke smiled at their teammate who practically skipped up the steps towards them. Naruto gave her a thumbs up as she approached. That was awesome, Sakura. Naruto grinned. She didn't know what hit her. Good job. Sasuke nodded at her. Now if Dobi wins his match, our whole team will make it to the finals. Thanks guys. Sakura smiled, especially pleased by Sasuke's praise in particular. But it wasn't just that. She really felt like she had become stronger, and the feeling of accomplishment itself was extremely rewarding. Kakashi spared Asuma a hard glance. You really shouldn't train your students to rely on their family's jutsu so much. Ino's performance was. Kakashi trailed off. I'll keep that in mind. Asuma smiled, actually looking a little embarrassed and mildly surprised by how easily Sakura had won her match. Kakashi turned back to his book, internally chuckling as he realized how hypocritical he would have sounded if he had said the same words in his past life. Luckily, he hadn't made the same mistake of only teaching his students a few things, or focusing all his attention on Sasuke. The next two matches were two more repeats for Naruto. Temari and Tenten had their match, and while Tenten put up a great fight and exhibited great skill with pretty much any weapon she used, her opponent had the advantage. It was still an ugly sight to see the girl's spine almost break when Temari caught her on the end of her fan. After that, Naruto was reminded of Shikamaru's cunning mind and ability to think ahead when he won his match against Kin. Like Tenten, Kin was taken away on a stretcher to have her concussion taken care of, a result of having her head smashed against the wall thanks to Shikamaru's family jutsu. Would Naruto Uzumaki and Kiba Inuzuka come down for the 7th match? Hayate coughed. Naruto grinned, having predicted the matchup by the way things were going. As he made his way towards the stairs that led down to the area, a quiet voice made him stop in his tracks. Naruto-kun. Naruto quickly turned and fixed Hinata with an attentive look when she called his name. Yeah. Anyo. Good luck. Hinata smiled shyly at him as she twiddled her fingers together. Well, I certainly feel luckier. Naruto grinned, causing the Hyuga heiress to flush. Don't worry, this'll be cake. Big talk, Kiba growled, though there was no real bite in his bark. I'll be the one winning this match. Both boys quickly made their way down to the arena. Kiba and Akamaru readied themselves as Naruto pondered how he could finish the match quicker than last time. The solution he came up with brought a smile to his face. Begin, Hayate announced. Alright, Akamaru, let's thrash this guy. Kiba whooped as he got down on all fours. He smirked confidently at Naruto. Let's go all out, dude. This ain't a regular spar, so give me everything you've got. A poor choice of words, but if you say so, Kiba. Naruto grinned. I'll show you a technique that is so great, even the Hokage fell victim to its power. It took a moment for what Naruto said to register with the older man, causing Sarutobi to pale considerably before he quickly closed his eyes. From the balcony, Sasuke and Kakashi did the same while Sakura screamed in rage. Naruto, you better not. Everyone else was clueless as to what Naruto was about to do. Naruto made his favorite hand sign, summoning about 30 clones onto the arena. Kiba was about to retaliate by tearing into the nearest cluster when all the clones transformed. Kiba's eyes widened when dozens of beautiful, naked girls popped into existence. Kiba-kun. The girls all drawled out, some grabbing onto him and pressing their considerably large bust against him. It was too much. In a manner not unlike Jiraiya, the boy was propelled like a rocket through the air as blood shot out of his nostrils. A few others had been smart enough to mimic the Hokage and close their eyes, but every male who hadn't done so reacted the exact same way as Kiba. All the clones disappeared and Naruto changed back into his real male form, smiling at Kiba as he lied in a pool of his own blood from across the room. Harem no jutsu. Naruto grinned as he stared at the stunned, shocked faces of people who had witnessed the jutsu. And just one of those pretty ladies was enough to take the old man down. That was an advanced version of the technique. Winner of the, it's Naruto Uzumaki, Hayate announced, desperately trying to pinch off the flow of blood from his nose. Naruto quickly bounded up the steps and returned to his team as Kiba was carried away by the medical team. Sasuke and Kakashi shook their heads as he approached. So what did you guys think? Naruto smiled. Baka. Sakura plowed her fist into the boy's head, sending him to the ground and almost through the floor. Naruto quickly got up, rubbing his head as he glared at Sakura. Ouch, what was that for? What have I said about using that damn technique? Why not? It worked, didn't it? That doesn't change the fact that it's dirty. It's strategy, Naruto insisted. Naruto-kun. A small hand gripped onto the sleeve of his shirt. Naruto's eyebrows arched in surprise when he turned around and found that the surprisingly stern voice had come from none other than Hinata. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt very afraid when saw the shadow that was covering her eyes. "Promise me you won't use that jutsu again," Hinata said, shocking Naruto when he didn't detect any hesitation and shyness in her tone. It almost sounded demanding. Quite frankly, it scared the shit out of him. Sure thing, Hinata. I was just having a little fun." Naruto laughed uneasily. It was only then that he noticed that most every female in the room was glaring at him. Guess his little stunt had offended some more than others. It wasn't the smartest thing to do, he admitted. One of Jiraiya's old speeches popped into his mind about how sensitive women were and how careful you had to be around them, though it had sounded rather hypocritical coming from him. Still, the message was very clear to the blonde Jinchuriki. Hinata, while shy and timid, was still a woman and wouldn't overlook everything he did just because she had a crush on him. There were still many things that offended her, and he would have been a little more mindful of her feelings next time he pulled a stunt like that. "Sorry, Hinata, I won't use that jutsu again." Naruto smiled, bowing slightly as the girl blinked at him. "Forgive me. Just don't do that again," Hinata mumbled, blushing much to Naruto's relief. The boy winced when there was a sharp pain in his shoulder. Naruto's finger hit something thin and metal when he tried to confirm what the pain was. A senbon needle, Naruto wondered as he pulled it out of his shoulder. The boy shivered when he glanced down at who threw it. From where the proctor stood, Haku was twirling a senbon in between her fingers while she gave him a sugar-sweet smile. Yeah, he wouldn't be using anything related to Warok for a long time. Moving right along, let's see who the 8th matchup will be," Hayate announced. Naruto and the other genin glanced up at the screen. If he remembered correctly, this would be where Neji and Hinata would fight each other if things followed the original plot like they had so far. Hinata was definitely stronger than she used to be thanks to their training together, so Naruto was actually looking forward to the differences in the fight. Of course, needless to say, Naruto was surprised when the matchup wasn't what he expected it to be. Would Neji Hyuga and Kagari please come down for the 8th match? The last Rain Ninja had taken Hinata's place. Okay, I guess that not exactly a bad thing, Naruto thought as the match began. But if she fights Gaara? Naruto really hoped that she wouldn't get hurt if Gaara was forced to keep up appearances. "It was your destiny to lose this fight, scum," Neji said coolly as he stared down at his defeated opponent after having taken a direct hit to the chest with his Juken. Kagari was quickly taken away on a stretcher. "That's all the Rain Ninja," Naruto commented. "So that means Gaara, Choji, Dosu, Lee, or Hinata will be getting the free pass." Neji quickly retreated back up the stairs, bumping into Naruto on the way and shooting an icy glare towards Hinata, making the girl cower. Naruto made a growling noise in the back of his throat. "Not here, there are people watching, no way to hide the body," Naruto thought as he placed a comforting hand on Hinata's shoulder as he glared at Neji's back. Next match will be Rock Lee and Gaara," Hayate announced after coughing into his fist. Naruto did his best to remain stoic, but his expression slowly expressed his worry as Gaara slowly stepped down to the arena while Lee enthusiastically flung himself into the arena. Naruto tuned out Guy's roaring encouragements and Lee's loud cries as he focused his attention on Gaara. "What will you do?" Naruto wondered. Did Gaara have it in him to hurt Lee? He certainly couldn't lose in the preliminaries. Hayate raised his hand and started the match. "That kid's a goner." Naruto jumped when he heard Kankuro's voice beside him. "Gaara's has never been hurt. That sand stored in his gourd acts as a protective barrier, even without Gaara's influence." Kankuro commented as the sand danced around his brother and blocked Lee's kicks and punches. "It's just one of the reasons he's dangerous. No one has ever been able to touch him. He's strong," Naruto agreed as he watched Gaara deflect Lee's attacks. "But Bushy Brow is no pushover. He had better get serious though if he wants to beat Gaara." Naruto's eyes widened when a sudden spike of killing intent came from Gaara. "Blood, blood, mother needs blood." Gaara seethed as the sand raged around him, shooting towards Lee at an alarmingly fast rate. "Quick!" Lee gasped as he dived out of way, avoided the crashing wave of sand. He tried to escape the mass of sand, but it just followed him no matter where he went. "Kill, die, need blood," Gaara mumbled as he clutched his head. "Shit, is it awake?" Kankuro cursed under his breath, clutching onto the railing as he watched the sand attack the spandex-wearing ninja. Naruto tensed as Lee made a dodge that was a little too close for comfort. Gaara, is it the Aikibi, or are you really trying to? Lee. Guy's voice boomed from above, immediately gaining everybody's attention. Yes, Guy-sensei. Take him off. Wah, but Guy-sensei, you only said to do that when important people's lives were at stake. I'm making an exception, show him the burning flames of your youth. Right, I will, huh. As Lee reached down to remove the weights on his legs, a ball of sand crashed into his arm. As if I'll let you. Gaara growled as launched sand shuriken towards the ninja. Lee avoided most of them, but since they were being thrown with a wide range, a few did hit their mark. Regardless, Lee had no time to remove the weights on his legs. Exclamation mark. I can't reach my. Lee tried again to reach for his weights only to be hit by another ball of sand. How can I? Oh no. Unknown to Lee, the sand projectiles that had missed were landing on the ground behind him, slowly collecting and gathering to form a large wave that crashed into the unsuspecting boy's back. It was too late to dodge it. Got you. Gaara smirked as the sand wrapped around Lee's left leg and forearm, an exact mirror of what happened in the past. He clenched his fist as the sand constricted the ninja's joints. Gah! Lee's cry of pain rang out throughout the room. Hayate quickly raised his hand when the sand continued to crawl across the boy's body. Gaara has won the 9th match. Call off your attack. Gaara ignored him, completely incasing Lee within his sand. Gaara, your win has already been announced. I demand you call off your attack or we will use force to stop you. Lee was lifted off the ground. Enough. Everyone in the room gasped when a hard fist slammed into the side of Gaara's face, sending him flying across the room and into the wall. The sand around Lee dropped away and scattered back to its master. Guy caught Lee as he fell. Gee, Guy-sensei. Lee moaned as his limbs throbbed. Not another word, Lee. Rest for now, Guy said softly, glaring at the Suna ninja who slowly picked himself off the ground. Gaara returned the glare before retreating back up the stairs. Phew, that kid was lucky. Kankuro sighed as he wiped the sweat off his brow. He turned to leave and returned to his team. For a second there, I thought Gaara was really gonna go apeshit and kill everyone in the room. Gaara, Naruto whispered, was it the Aikibi, or did you? Naruto's eyes widened when Gaara shot him a meaningful look from across the room. Their gazes met for only a second, but Naruto could tell his expression was apologetic. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki smiled at the Aikibi container. Good, you didn't do anything permanent this time, Naruto sighed in relief. Let's move on. Hayate coughed from below. This will be the last match of the preliminaries. Whose ever name that doesn't appear on the screen will automatically move on to the finals. Everyone held their breath as the computer started rotating the names. Hinata and Choji both looked at the screen with worried expression while Dosu remained indifferent. Finally, 2 names were presented. Choji Akamichi and Dosu Kinuda, please come down for the final match. Hayate announced. Guess this means Hinata Hyuga will be moving on to the finals. Oh, good, Hinata said quietly as she bowed her head. Naruto raised his eyebrows at her somewhat dejected tone of voice. What's wrong? Aren't you happy? Naruto asked the girl. It's just, it doesn't feel like I earned my place in the finals. Hinata sighed. Everyone else fought so hard and for me to pass just like that. Guess this means you'll have to surprise everyone when finals come around. Naruto said encouragingly, making the girl look at him. Since you weren't able to fight here, you'll show everyone that you deserve to be in the finals when you do get the chance to fight. I guess so, Hinata murmured, giving the boy a shy smile. I have to try my best. That's what I like to hear. Naruto grinned, shooting a quick glare at Neji who scoffed at Hinata's words. Winner of the last match, Dosu Kinuda. Naruto and Hinata blinked when they looked back to the arena to find an unconscious Choji and a silent Dosu walking back to the balcony. Naruto chuckled at Hinata's lost expression. Huh, that was quick, Naruto commented. Hinata nodded silently in agreement. Okay, now that all the matches are done, could all those who passed come down so we can determine the matchups for the finals? Hayate called out. All the genin quickly made their way down and gathered in front of the man. The Tokubetsu Jonin motioned to Ibiki who stepped forward with a small white box. Each of you will pick a number at random and we'll match you up accordingly. The finals will just be fights like you all had just now, and depending on your performance during those fights will determine whether or not you become Jonin. Even the person who wins the entire tournament might not become a Chunin though. The finals will be held a month from now, so use that time to train and prepare. Now, go ahead and pick your numbers please. Tell me your number once you draw it. Anko smiled as she held a small board and a pencil in her hands. Naruto shrugged and reached inside the box Ibiki was holding. 1. Naruto gasped, much to his surprise. Anko smirked and wrote his number down. Same one again, huh? Can't really complain if I'll be getting a chance to punch out Neji again and shove that destiny and fate shit right up his ass. Naruto thought as he stepped back as Dosu stepped forward. The sound ninja drew his number and showed it to Anko. 2. Dosu said monotonously. Naruto's eyes widened. Huh? Naruto watched disbelief as Dosu was written up and matched up with him. If I'm not fighting Neji this time, then who is? Naruto wondered. Shikamaru stepped forward and drew his number. 7. The boy sighed. 9. Sakura smiled. 3. Sasuke smirked. 4. Gaara said. S6. Hinata said quietly. 11. Shino monotoned. 10. Kankuro announced. 5. Neji presented his number, earning looks of shock from Hinata and Naruto as he was paired up with the heiress. 8. Tamari called the final number. Alright, that's everyone. Anko smiled. She showed everyone the board. The matchups are as follows. Round 1. Naruto Uzumaki vs Dosu Kinuta. Round 2. Sasuke Uchiha vs Gaara. Round 3. Neji Hyuga vs Hinata Hyuga. Round 4. Shikamaru Nara vs Tamari. Round 5. Sakura Haruno vs Kankuro. Round 6. Shino vs winner of Round 5. Well, that's it, Hayate said after finishing another coughing fit. Like I said before, you've got a month to train for the exams. Each and every one of you has a chance to become a Chunin, and it might be a case where none of you become Chunin. Regardless, use the time you have wisely. You are forbidden from attacking other contestants until the finals, and if you do, you will be disqualified. I wish you all luck. Are there any questions? All the genin were silent. Right then, all of you are dismissed. With that, Naruto let out a tired sigh. The second phase of the Chunin exams was finally over. Welcome home, Naruto-sama. Yuzura blinked as her master walked past her and towards his room without replying. The girl quickly followed after Naruto with a worried expression on her face. She found him collapsed on the top of his bed with his face planted in his pillow. Naruto-sama, is everything all right? Yuzura asked, concern evident in her voice. Did you not pass the preliminaries? No, I passed. Naruto sighed as he turned his head towards her. Just coping with all that's happened so far. Naruto was exhausted. Going through the exams a second time had been more taxing than he had originally thought. He had been riding high and running on adrenaline from the beginning of the first exams and toward the end of the preliminaries, but after being escorted back to Konoha by the proctors and dropped off at his home by his team, Naruto felt all the energy drain out of him the moment he saw his rundown apartment. Even exhausted, Naruto's mind was still set on the future and going over the plans in his brain. Now that the preliminaries had been finished, he had to focus on preparing for Orochimaru's attack during the finals. He, Kakashi, and Gaara had all discussed what needed to be avoided and what they needed to do before facing up against the Snake Sennin when he was at full strength before the Chunin exams had even begun. Yuzura, Haku, and Anko were all in on their plans as well and would help them with whatever they needed to do. They had three main objectives: kill Orochimaru, kill Kabuto, and keep the Sandaime from being killed. Keeping all their friends alive and saving as many civilians as possible was also something they wanted to do, but that was a given and not really defining points of their plans since everyone had come out okay last time. Plus, with Gaara helping them this time around and Second Sight on their side, their odds of success had drastically increased. That didn't keep Naruto from worrying though. Just because someone had a better chance of winning didn't guarantee victory. His thoughts strayed to his perverted, white-haired sensei who would be showing up soon. Naruto made a mental note to send out a couple dozen shadow clones into the village to search around hot springs and public baths so he could get in touch with Jiraiya as soon as possible. Still, all that would come tomorrow, as would the meeting he had planned with his allies as well. Right now, what Naruto needed was a distraction to keep his mind off the troubling thoughts of the future. Naruto-sama. The blonde smiled when Yuzura held up a small scroll in her hands as she smiled comfortingly down at him. Maybe working on some seals would help relax you a bit, Yuzura proposed. That sounds nice. Naruto smiled as he slowly rose off the bed and followed Yuzura into the kitchen. Where is Haku-chan, if I may ask? Didn't she come home with you? Yujiro asked curiously. Ah, she had to help Anko with some paperwork or something. Filling out forms and reports for what happened during the second exam and preliminaries. That sort of thing, Naruto answered. I see. There were a few scrolls scattered across the tabletop already, along with a pile of blank sheets of paper of various sizes. Some parchments had symbols drawn on them while some didn't. Naruto raised his eyebrows as he looked at a more extensive, complex seal that had been drawn up. Have you been working on the seal to stabilize the Ikibi's seal while we were taking the exams? Naruto asked. He sat down in a chair as Yujiro pulled it out for him. I often returned here to water my flowers whenever I had the time. Yujiro replied, taking her own seat across from her master. She gestured to a few new strings of characters and symbols that had appeared on the scroll. Since I was unneeded for the first part of the exams and for most of the preliminaries, I thought that I should work on the seal as often as I could. Properly sealing the Ikibi would undoubtedly help us during the invasion. If we devote a few hours over the next couple days to working on the seal, we should be able to properly seal the Ikibi by the end of the week. That's true, Naruto agreed, grateful that the girl had done so much. The theory both Jinchuriki had was that once Gaara's seal was modified to match the properties of Naruto's seal, the Ikibi would be properly caged, and Gaara would be able to interact with it similar to the way Naruto was able to interact with the Kyuubi. It would also allow Gaara to draw upon the Ikibi's chakra should the demon allow it. Naruto really hoped that Gaara and One-Tailed Beast would come to some sort of agreement like he and the Kyuubi had done. One of the benefits Gaara was personally looking forward to was that he'd finally be able to sleep once the seal was finished. He could go to bed at night without having to worry about the Ikibi taking over his body and smashing the village to pieces. Naruto quickly got to work, switching between reading a book on sealing Yujiro had pilfered from one of Konoha's libraries and copying the characters down onto the scroll. Along with the copy of the Forbidden Arts scroll, Yujiro had done the wise thing and had borrowed a couple books explaining seals and how they were created from a few libraries and bookstores, making sure to return them after she had made copies or recorded any valuable information from them. Before Naruto had started on anything complex, he had worked on simpler seals. Explosive tags and carrier scrolls had been easy to make, and with Yuzora's help Naruto had improved and became quite adept at making seals. Granted, most of the seals he did make were just add-ons to seals that already existed or copying down seals he already knew, but the experience was still very valuable. He couldn't really make his own seals from scratch, but as long as he had a basis Naruto could modify the properties of one seal to work the way he wanted. It was fun to experiment, as seals had been a skill that had been unexplored by him in his other life. He wasn't nearly as skilled as his dad, but Naruto was adept and quickly improved as he worked on practicing the art so he could eventually move on to creating his own original seals. Naruto took a deep sigh as his brush traced a few symbols onto the piece of paper in front of him. The sun was setting, evidenced by the orange light that filtered through the window in the kitchen and painted the room with warm, illuminating orange colors. It was a comfortable atmosphere and helped calm Naruto down some. I hope we're as lucky now as I was back then, Naruto mused with a small chuckle, getting Yuzora's attention who gazed at him curiously. Since I won't be running off to fight Gaara, as soon as Orochimaru's invasion starts it'll be a quick jump to the rooftop and a direct engagement. Sounds simple, but the battle will probably be twice as hard as fighting Gaara ever was. You will be ready, a huge difference now from back then, Yujiro reminded him. Yeah, but being prepared makes me think. Thinking makes me worried. Naruto smiled as his brush slowed to a halt. I really miss the old days where I could just react and jump right into whatever battle I was forced into. I never had a plan before, I never thought about consequences too much, I just saw the enemy and tried to take him down with everything I had. After Pain's attack on the village in my old life I was forced to start thinking, especially after Madara declared war. I couldn't just blindly rush into things like I had before or wait until the enemy appeared right in front of me. Doing that ended up having dire consequences. Are you dissatisfied with what you have achieved? Do you not wish you had knowledge of the future to act upon? Yujiro asked. Her tone was level and stern. It's not that, I just don't know if it's a difference I like, Naruto admitted. Remembering the past is, well, now I can understand Kakashi a bit. Repressing memories is a lot easier than facing them. That's not an attitude you should have, Naruto-sama. Yujiro chided him. I know. Look, I don't regret anything. I'm happy with what's happened. It's way better than what happened in the past. I couldn't have changed so much without knowing what I know, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. The past was full of hardships and burdens. Remembering mistakes also meant remembering the consequences. Even if everyone was alive now, Naruto could still see their broken bodies and lifeless eyes when certain memories rose to the forefront of his mind. I can understand that. Naruto turned towards Yuzura as she lifted the calligraphy brush from his hand and took his hand in both of hers. She gave him a reassuring smile. Oftentimes I am also burdened by the past. Everyone has harsh memories that they would prefer to ignore or forget. It's why I don't like talking about my past. Yuzura shook her head and smiled. But, it's not like I had a terrible life. There were many hardships, and tragedy is something I am closely acquainted with, but there were moments that I do cherish and remember. I would never want to forget those precious memories. There is both pain and happiness within our past. Surely you can agree with that. Naruto smiled. Once again, she had managed to cheer him up and help him see the brighter side of things. It would do him no good to be negative. And it was true, there had been tragic and terrible events in his past life, but it's not like everything was bad. Naruto also liked to believe that there was more good than bad, he just often focused on the negative like most humans do. Plus, he had a rare opportunity. He had a chance to avoid all those painful tragedies, and create new, cherished memories with all his friends. It was a chance he would never give up. You always seem to know the right thing to say at these times. Naruto smiled at the girl. I just learned how to cheer Naruto-sama up. Yuzura returned his smile. While our time together has been short, I have come to understand a great deal about my new master, and cherish our time together. Creating new memories with me is fun, isn't it? Naruto grinned cheekily at her. It is. Yuzura giggled. I value every experience in this new life of mine. With you, Haku-chan and Kakashi-san. The new memories cheer me up whenever I'm stuck on the past. Care to share? Have you mastered the Batokiri yet? Hey, that's not fair. You can tell me a story or two, Naruto pouted, withdrawing his hand and crossing his arms over his chest. Sorry, Naruto-sama, until you master the technique, you won't be hearing any more about my past. Yuzura said playfully. Whatever, I have a month before the finals. I'll master it soon, just you wait. Naruto said threateningly. He smiled as Yuzura laughed. Thanks though. For cheering me up, that is. Naruto responded. It's not like me to sound so depressing. Just, be prepared to deal with a negative Jinchuriki when he reminisces about certain memories. Many are burdened by the past, Naruto-sama. We are not the only ones. Yuzura smiled. I believe that if someone is willing to listen to what troubles us, it is that much easier to deal with the harsher memories. Remember that I will always be willing to listen should you ever feel the need to get something off your chest. The same goes for you. Naruto smiled, to which the fox girl responded with a grateful smile. If you ever feel like talking about your past, I'll be right here. Then I do hope you master the Batokiri soon. I do look forward to the day when I can talk to you about my past. Naruto made a silent promise to her. They both turned back to the scrolls in front of them and got back to work. Naruto could imagine that Yuzura was plagued by harsh memories, just like he was. That scar on her back was a testament to what certain aspects of her life must have been like. Even then, she was afraid of talking about it. Yet, she trusted him enough to give him a chance to get her to talk about it. He would devote some of his time to practicing with his sword during his month of training. If he could be that person to listen to her problems, then maybe it would be a start to paying her back for helping him deal with his. After all, he had 30 days to train before the finals. He had plenty of time to fit a little more sword training into his schedule. XXXXX. Day 1. It was a beautiful morning in Konoha. The streets and various marketplaces were bustling since the Chunin exam finals would commence at the end of the month. The finals were always a highly anticipated event, and almost everyone in the village would turn up to watch the genin who had made it to the third test beat the snot out of each other. It was seen as entertainment to many, an evaluation of one's skill to others, a reflection of a competing genin's village to some, and a quick way to make money for those who liked to bet on the fights. The village was packed with foreign residents from different villages, which really made the village burst with activity. Still, those who were actually taking part in the finals had a month to train, and had to find teachers or ways to practice before the last test began. Training needed to be done, and it needed to be far away from the crowded Konoha streets. This is why Team 7 had eaten their breakfast on the same rooftop they had all met Kakashi on the day they were assigned to their genin cell. No one would bother them up there. So, Kakashi-sensei, how are we going to train for the Chunin exams? Kakashi smiled under his mask as Sakura asked him that question. Behind her sat her other teammates who were having a meaningless conversation. Naruto seemed to do most of the talking while Sasuke would give his own input now and then. It was an unexpected surprise that everyone in Team 7 had moved on to the finals. Sakura was able to beat Ino with her newfound skill and strength. Sasuke was able to easily dispatch his opponent since the curse mark hadn't handicapped him, and Naruto had. Well, he beat Kiba in the end, no matter how unorthodox his match may have been. Well, I was thinking that I'd be the one training you guys for the exams. Kakashi replied, ruffling the girl's hair as Naruto and Sasuke turned their attention towards their sensei. None of you are against that, right? So we'll basically be training together like we were before? Sasuke asked in a bored tone. It wasn't like he was complaining, but he wouldn't have minded a little more variety. Actually, I had some other candidates to teach Naruto and Sakura, Kakashi mentioned, making Naruto smile and Sakura turn her head towards him in surprise. The copy nin glanced at Naruto, with the blonde replied to the look he gave with a shake of his head. But unfortunately Naruto's teacher isn't here yet and I can't really reach Sakura's teacher unless he's here. Naruto had already sent some shadow clones out earlier that morning to look around for Jiraiya. Unfortunately none of his duplicates had managed to find the super pervert, and without Jiraiya, they couldn't hope to find Tsunade. If both Sannin were here for the invasion, that would give them quite the edge. Not only that, but Sakura could only take her chakra control exercises so far when Kakashi was the one teaching her, and what he knew only came from what he and Naruto remembered about Tsunade's training. If the slug Sannin herself was here to train Sakura, she'd be more than prepared for the finals and for the invasion. What about me? Sasuke asked, a little put out by the fact Kakashi had planned to get both his teammates a private tutor. I was going to train you personally since we both have the Sharingan. I've got a few more tips I haven't taught to you yet. Kakashi smiled in response, and we won't train like we had before. Since this is a tournament, I'll be training each of you so that you can counter your opponent's techniques when the time comes. All three of his students nodded in response, each of them thinking about the best way to fight whoever they went up against. Dosu was pretty dangerous on his own, but if Naruto could find some way to nullify his melody arm, he'd be golden. Sasuke was already well aware of how dangerous Gaara was, and he anticipated that it would be a challenging battle. Sakura had two opponents to worry about, since if she beat Kankuro in the 5th round, she'd have to fight Shino immediately after. Granted, she was already aware of his fighting style and techniques from the exercises and friendly competitions Team 7 had with Team 8, but that didn't change the fact that his bugs were dangerous and they still creeped her out. Well, we've got a month to train and we won't get anything done standing around here. Kakashi said cheerfully as he clapped his hands together. Now, who wants to learn a new jutsu? Enthusiastic nods from Naruto and Sakura and a smirk from Sasuke was all the answer he needed. Naruto happily chatted away with his teammates as they made their way towards the training grounds, with Kakashi following behind him as he read a new issue of Ika Ika Paradise. Naruto was disappointed that he wouldn't be training with Jiraiya right away, but training with his teammates was fine too. He didn't mind training with his team for a couple of days while he waited for Ero-sensei to show up. It would fit in well with the training regime he had already set up for himself. With Haku, Yujiro, and Hinata helping him train coupled with what Kakashi and Jiraiya would teach him, Naruto was confident that he'd be more than ready for the finals and for the invasion. XXXXX. Day 4. I wonder how I got roped into this. Naruto muttered as he stood in place carrying a whole bunch of shopping bags in his arms. He watched as Haku inspected a vendor with fresh fruit out on display. The girl would check the food for quality before dropping it into her bag. Naruto would have gone help her if he could, but he knew he wasn't welcome at the particular store. The hostile looks the shopkeeper kept giving him was a silent message to keep the hell away from his shop. After picking out a few more items she paid for the food and walked back over to the Jinchuriki. She held out the bag towards him with a smile. Yeah, Naruto sighed as he took the bag from her. His arms felt strained by the numerous bags he was carrying. What a gentleman, Haku giggled, clearly enjoying herself. Naruto gave her an exasperated smile in return. The two of them were currently out on a shopping trip since they had been running low on food. Yujiro had reported a shortage on food supplies after Naruto and Haku had come back from the blonde's ninjutsu training. Haku, looking out for her foxy friend, had volunteered to go out and buy the groceries instead of Yujiro who had been planning to. Haku was a lodger in Naruto's apartment, so she felt guilty if she didn't help with chores or errands every so often. She couldn't let Yujiro do all the work herself. Of course, that didn't mean she would deny help. Naruto had practically been dragged to the marketplace, despite his protests. In that playful, teasing way of hers, Haku had said she needed a strong man to help carry the groceries and other such things, and that he should be happy to help out a friend. Haku insisted that preventing an invasion didn't mean that he couldn't help run errands. Knowing that any complaints would be either ignored or used as ammo to make fun of him, Naruto had to suck it up and accept his situation. He did have other appointments to keep, but those wouldn't be until later in the afternoon. Don't worry, you won't be late for your date with Hinata-chan. Haku smiled at him, almost reading his thoughts. It's not a date, Naruto protested as his cheeks took on a pinkish hue. We just agreed to help each other out with training for the finals. Whatever you say, Haku chuckled, turning her attention away from him. We just have to visit one more store and then the flower shop. Yuzura-chan had mentioned offhand that there were a few flower seeds she had wanted to buy, so we should get them while we're out. Just bear with me for a little while longer, okay Naruto-sama? Naruto grumbled while Haku laughed at his expense. He knew that this little errand wouldn't interfere with his training schedule, but it also meant he was Haku's captive audience. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki had kept his same training regime going. He'd train with Haku in the mornings and focus on ninjutsu, train his chakra control with Hinata early afternoon, with his team later in the day, and sword training with Yuzura at night. It was a system that helped develop his skills, so he saw no need to change it even if he was preparing to stop an invasion. Still, while he was thinking of training, Naruto couldn't help but wonder where Jiraiya was. He'd send out clones every day, but he just couldn't find the man no matter how many hot springs or public baths they inspected. Naruto knew he had plenty of time before the actual invasion started, but if he wanted to find the best way to fight Orochimaru, he'd have to be taught by his perverted sensei who had been a teammate of the Snake Sannin and fought with him before. If anyone knew the best way to defeat Orochimaru, it would be Jiraiya. Or the Sandame, but Naruto knew that he couldn't get the old man to train him, and he definitely wouldn't get the old man to let him fight the snake bastard. Well, thinking about it right now wouldn't do him any good. He'd find his pervy sensei eventually. So, what are your plans after this, Haku? Naruto asked, trying to make conversation. Why, trying to ask me out on a date? No. You don't have to deny it so strongly, Haku giggled as Naruto glared at her. But to answer your question seriously, I have to meet with Anko-san and talk with a few other proctors later this afternoon. What for? As you should know, because of the incident with Orochimaru, security has been increased. We want to make sure there are no problems during or before the finals. Haku replied, scouts are already sneaking around the village to try and find out if there are any bugs creeping around. But it's being done quietly. Can't let the civilians or our foreign guests panic now, can we? The investigation and Orochimaru's appearance is being kept as classified information. Oh, then should you really talk about it so casually? Naruto asked, a little concerned that she was talking about it in broad daylight. Don't be so paranoid, it's just us two and I don't see anyone else around, do you? Haku asked, gesturing to the empty road. They were already far away from the marketplace and headed towards another area in the village. And I don't think I have to worry about you leaking information to the enemy. Yeah, I guess. And what about you? Haku asked, making the boy turn his head towards her. Do you have anything else planned for today besides training? Well, I do want to try and find Gaara later today. Naruto replied with a smile. Yuzura and I are going to skip out on sword training for today to finish up the seal. I'll make up for it tomorrow, but if it means Gaara can get some sleep tonight, I don't mind it. That's good. Oh, and speaking of those scout teams, I almost forgot to tell you that I'm a part of them. Haku told him as she remembered her other duties. I'll be busy at night until the finals begin, so don't start worrying if I don't come home one night, okay? I think Yuzura and I can take care of ourselves without you around. Naruto smirked. That hurts, and I'll still be around during the day. Haku pouted. Naruto just laughed. Haku blinked when she heard someone else laugh along with Naruto. Naruto-kun, did you hear that? Haku asked. Hear what? Just listen, do you hear, giggling? Naruto's eyes widened when he did, in fact, hear giggling not too far away. It was a familiar, happy giggle. It was sinister, secretive laughter that could still be heard even if it wasn't that loud. Forgetting the groceries in his hands, Naruto dropped the bags, ignored Haku's shout of protest and took off down the street. I knew it. Naruto grinned like a maniac when he stopped in front of a hot spring he hadn't checked up on yet. It's not like he knew how many bathhouses were in Konoha, so he wasn't sure if he had checked them all. Still smiling, Naruto followed the perverted laughter until a familiar head of white hair came into his view from right behind the women's bath. Ero-sensei. Ha ha ha, I can feel my blood flowing. Konoha really does have the best research material. Jiraiya, the toad sage, giggled perversely as he spied on the women in the bath. He quickly jotted down some notes in his manuscript. That one fills out nicely. Oh, and that one as well. Give that one a couple years and she might. What the hell are you doing? GWAH. Naruto's eyes widened when Jiraiya grabbed him and clasped a hand over his mouth. He brought a finger to his lips as he glared at the blonde brat who had interrupted his research. Quiet, brat, do you want us to get caught? Jiraiya whispered. Caught? I'm pretty sure peeking on women in the bath is a crime. Naruto replied loudly after her pulled the hand away from his mouth and glared at his sensei. He was extremely happy to see the man again, especially since he never even got to say goodbye to the man before Nagato had killed him, but that didn't mean he approved of his teacher's perverted habits or his research. Hey, what was that? Did any of you hear something? Jiraiya's eyes widened in panic when he heard concerned female voices from within the bath. Not letting go of the boy, he quickly ran away from his vantage point. Shit, retreat, retreat. Jiraiya panicked as he ran out into the street and far from where the girls could see or hear him. He let out a breath of relief before glaring at the kid in front of him. You almost got us killed back there, brat. I'm not a brat, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage, you pervert. Naruto said, glaring back at the toad Sannin. Pervert, how dare you, I am a super pervert, thank you very much. Jiraiya proclaimed, I've worked long and hard to get that title. I deserve to be called such. That's not something you should say so proudly. Naruto muttered, now was the time to feign ignorance. So who are you anyway? Who am I? Well, Jiraiya smirked, giving Naruto a bright smile as he struck a pose. I am the living legend. I am a man who commands respect. Men look up to me, women love me, and fathers fear me. Open your eyes and take a look. Behold the one and only divine ninja, the powerful toad sage that is. The gallant Jiraiya. An awkward breeze blew through the vicinity as the great toad sage was stared at by a blonde teenager. You still look like a pervert to me. Naruto said simply. Jiraiya fell over at his response. Shut up. Appreciate my introduction more, Jiraiya commanded, though it sounded like a whine. And I worked so hard on it too. Naruto tried to keep himself from smiling as he rolled his eyes. He almost forgot how much he had missed Jiraiya's eccentrics. HMPH. Well, get lost, kid. I've got some research to complete. Jiraiya muttered, waving his hand dismissively as he turned back to where his peeping area was. Better start treating me with some respect, Ero-san, or else I'll tell those ladies about your research. Naruto smirked when Jiraiya paled and quickly dropped to his knees in front of him. Why you don't need to do that, Naruto. Yes, Naruto is your name, right? Jiraiya begged him. You're a ninja too, right? You have to understand the importance of what I'm doing here. Thousands of readers depend on me and my research. Peeping is peeping, Ero-san. Naruto sighed, shaking his head. I don't think being a pervert's co-conspirator in violating a woman's privacy will look good on my record as a ninja. Come on, look, is there anything you want? If you don't sell me out, I'll owe you one. As a great man I've got plenty of connections and lots of skills. Just tell me what you want and we can forget this whole thing. Jiraiya pleaded with the boy. Naruto smirked. Well, I'm actually part of the Chunin exams. I made it to the finals, and if I had a sensei who had some awesome jutsu to teach me it would really help me out. Awesome jutsu, you've come to the right man. Jiraiya smirked, striking another pose. I'm the undefeated ninja, evildoers see me and run for their lives. The gallant Jiraiya is also one of the Sannin of Konoha, a living legend in the flesh. Does a pervert like you have anything useful to teach me? Gah, Jiraiya did a comical face fault before quickly standing back up and glaring at Naruto. That does it, I'll show you how great I am. A few minutes with me and you'll be in awe of my abilities. The things I can teach you will blow your mind. Haven't seen anything yet, Naruto smiled. Grr, okay, I'll teach you how to walk on trees. Jiraiya proclaimed. I already know how to do that. Naruto cut in abruptly. Oh, water walking. Know it. Well, damn, Jiraiya muttered. The kid already knew the basics, so he couldn't just chase him off by showing him a cheap move. And despite what he said, he wasn't too keen on teaching some random brat he'd just met one of his signature jutsus. Of course, on closer inspection of said brat, Jiraiya's eyes widened. Bright blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, whisker marks on his face. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. No, it couldn't be. Ero-san. Jiraiya shook his head as he snapped back into reality. He gave the blonde a quick glare for the name before scratching the back of his head awkwardly. Well, since you know the basics, I guess I can teach you a trick or two that should help in the finals. But this isn't the best place to do it. But I need training now. Naruto whined. His personality also reminded him of his deceased student. Oh, this was not good for the old man. Forgotten memories were slowly rising to the forefront of his mind. Okay, look, meet me at the training grounds tomorrow afternoon and I'll teach you some really cool jutsu just so long as you don't tell on me. Do we have a deal? Jiraiya offered. Okay. Naruto grinned, accepting the deal to the Sanin's relief. But if you don't show up, I'm telling the Hokage what you did. Got it, I'll be there, Jiraiya replied, smiling for some reason he didn't know and ecstatic that the boy had agreed. Now get out of here. My research still needs to get done. Naruto smiled to himself, not noticing as Jiraiya started sneaking back to where he could continue his peeping. This was great. Now that he had gotten in touch with Jiraiya, he could do so many things. Having Jiraiya at his back during the invasion would be a definite plus, and he'd finally be able to get the Toad summons back. Fire off Rasengans in public again. He would. Naruto frowned when he heard Jiraiya's giggling again. Hey, Ero-sanin, you shouldn't. Kya. Naruto jumped when he heard the piercing scream. Strangely enough, it didn't come from the direction of the women's bath, but from right beside him. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki was nonplussed as he stared at Haku, who was shrieking next to him. Pervert, peeping Tom, lecher, there's a pervert here, Haku screamed, pointing at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, meanwhile, was in a panic. He whirled around to see a teenage girl standing next to Naruto, screaming her lungs out. He could already hear the frantic activity from within the bath and made a move to get the hell out, only to have a strong hand grab his shoulder. In a village with very capable female ninja, if you were unfortunate enough to be caught by said capable ninja, especially caught when invading their privacy, there would be consequences. Enjoy the view, you perverted old creep. The woman seethed. A towel was wrapped around her body protectively. Several other women were standing behind her, wielding kunai and swords rather menacingly. I can explain. Jiraiya protested weakly as the woman holding him raised a mace. Die. Naruto quickly dragged a laughing Haku away from the melee, not wanting to get caught up in the middle of it. Jiraiya's screams of pain and the war cries of many irate women screaming for blood could be heard from the other side of the village. Naruto took heavy breaths after he stopped running. Haku was clutching her sides as she laughed merrily next to him. That was evil, Naruto huffed, wincing as he heard Jiraiya's girlish shriek. Ha ha ha, every pervert, hee deserves to be, hee punished. Haku laughed her heart out. She wiped a tear from her eye and composed herself. That was fun. I hope he isn't sent to the hospital. I kinda need him for the exams. He'll be fine. He wouldn't skip out on his own godson, would he? Haku laughed, only realizing the weight of her words after she had said them. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. It's fine. Naruto waved her off, giving her a soft smile. Ero-sensei, Jiraiya, at least he came back in the end. That's good enough for me. Haku just smiled at his wistful expression. Sometimes she was amazed at how forgiving his was and how someone who had been dealt so much pain could still have such a big heart. It's a shame Yujiro-chan wasn't with us, Haku commented as she gave the boy a sympathetic smile. We'll get him tomorrow, just so long as he isn't killed, Naruto remarked, grinning at the girl. Let's just get our shopping done so I can. Wait, where are the groceries? Oh, those, Haku smiled. She pulled out a carrier scroll. All here. Naruto stared at her. You were carrying that with you this whole time? Yes. And you made me carry all the bags when we could have just sealed them in the scroll? Correct. Naruto continued to stare at the smiling Chunin. The next few minutes consisted of a very annoyed blonde chasing an amused girl across the village. XXXXX. Gaara-san. Yujiro-san. The Ikibi container nodded to the girl who stepped aside so he could enter the apartment. It was late at night, almost midnight, and Gaara was uncharacteristically nervous. He took a shaky breath as he stepped into the room. Yujiro gave him a reassuring smile as he was brought to another room downstairs. Gaara found his fellow Jinchuriki painting the last few symbols for the modifying the Ikibi's seal onto a large scroll. Naruto turned and grinned at his friend. "You ready?" Naruto asked. Gaara nodded. The Suna ninja untied his gourd and placed it in the corner of the room. Gaara took off his shirt, revealing the markings of the Ikibi's seal on his back. Gaara took a deep breath as tension seeped into his body. Naruto grabbed his shoulder and steadied the auburn-haired boy while Yujiro handed him a brush. The Ikibi container was shaking. Yujiro and Naruto each took their brushes and slowly traced additional lines and symbols onto Gaara's back. Once they were done, Yujiro stood in front of the boy and placed her hands on his shoulders to keep Gaara from moving too much while Naruto checked to make everything was set up correctly. "All right, I think that's everything," Naruto nodded. With what he learned trying to create a seal for the Sanbi and what he had learned from the sealing scrolls they studied in Kiri, he was confident this modified seal would give Gaara's seal the same properties as his own. Gaara's mind was running wild as Naruto checked over his seal. Would this really work? What if something went wrong? What if the seal broke? What if he went insane and killed everyone? He still remembered what it had been like when Akatsuki had ripped the Ikibi out of his body and how painful it had been. Would this hurt? What if he died? What if? "You can trust me, everything will work out, I'm your friend." Naruto's words immediately calmed him down. Gaara closed his eyes as a small smile grew on his face. Naruto drew his hand back. Seal. Naruto slammed two of his fingers into the seal on Gaara's back, embedding them into the center of his back but not breaking the skin. Yujiro held onto Gaara as his body jerked. Gaara felt a single shock run through his system before the Ikibi's cries suddenly stopped. It was over. He couldn't hear the Ikibi whispering to him anymore. Just like after the Akatsuki had taken the Ikibi from him. And right now, Gaara felt. Phew, sealing takes a lot out of you. Naruto gasped, feeling winded after having exerted so much chakra to complete the sealing. He smiled to himself. But it was all good. The Ikibi was now properly sealed. Naruto blinked when a startled cry and an audible thump was heard. Naruto-sama. Help me. Naruto laughed as Yujiro flailed around from beneath Gaara, who had collapsed on top of the girl. Gaara's light snoring could be heard as he lied on top of the girl, fast asleep and dead to the world. Guess he's feeling sleepy. Naruto laughed as he lifted the boy off of the fox girl, much to the embarrassed girl's relief, and carried him up to one of the spare rooms. Yujiro followed after him. I suppose I would too if I was unable to sleep for most of my life. Yujiro said, her cheeks colored by a pinkish hue. What should we do with him? I don't mind it if he sticks around here for a while. Naruto grinned as he dumped his sleeping friend on one of the beds. Something tells me he'll be napping for quite a while. Indeed. Good night, Gaara. Naruto chuckled before closing the door behind him. XXXXX. Day 5. Jiraiya groaned as he headed towards the training areas at a quick pace. He was troubled, and not just because he forgot to tell that kid Naruto which training ground to meet up at. The Toad Sani knew he was getting old, but not so much that he should have trouble with his memory. After the kid's name had registered and his features suddenly became shockingly familiar, Jiraiya knew there was no mistake. He had been talking with Minato and Kushina's kid yesterday. Truthfully, Jiraiya was angry with himself for actually forgetting his own godson. He wouldn't try to deny it, he had needed a distraction and traveling the world and writing his books had done the job. Sure, when he had left Konoha he had felt guilty for leaving his student's kid, but he was confident Kakashi had taken care of him. Unfortunately, his meeting with the Hokage had shattered that confidence. After escaping from a horde of angry kunoichi, Jiraiya had gone to visit his sensei and asked how Naruto's life had been up until now. It was also so he could confirm the boy's identity to stop himself from even trying to deny that he hadn't talked with his godson for the first time in 13 years. Prejudice, hate, and an entire childhood of loneliness was what Naruto had received, and to Jiraiya's disappointment Kakashi had only recently become involved in Naruto's life. He couldn't blame Kakashi for abandoning Naruto when he had done no different. It was he, Jiraiya, who was to be the godfather, not Kakashi. Granted, Tsunade had left way before he had and ignored her duties as a godmother, but that didn't justify his actions at all. Jiraiya had been struck with grief from losing someone who had been like a son to him, so he tried to push his responsibilities on a young adult who was just as broken up over Minato's death as he was. He had asked a mourning Kakashi to do something he had been tasked and trusted to do. If Minato or Kushina were still alive, they'd probably kill him. He probably deserved it too. All in all, Jiraiya had to accept the situation for what it was. He'd train the kid, since it was the least he could do for abandoning him for. Well, last time he'd seen him he had only been a few months old. How should he treat him? Well, no different than usual. He wouldn't act any different than he normally would since he already painted himself as a pervert in Naruto's eyes. Not that he was ashamed of that fact, mind you. Still, what exactly could he do to make up for a lifetime of neglect? Toad summons. Yeah, he'd definitely be getting those. Bunta would be happy too if he knew it was Minato's son. Maybe the Rasengan as well. Who knows? If the kid was anything like his father he might be able to improve upon the technique. And seals, well, he was still a brat so maybe that was getting too far ahead. Ero-sensei. Jiraiya's head snapped up when he heard the boy. He put on his best smile as he approached the impatient blonde who was tapping his foot on the ground. The toad sage quickly jogged up to him. Hey, told you I'd be here. Jiraiya grinned. That's great, now teach me something. Yes, teaching the kid some jutsu. But what were his chakra reserves like? During his talk with the Hokage he had also been reminded of Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki. Did he know about the fox? Had he ever used its power? Oh, and I know about the Kyuubi. Will that affect my training at all? Jiraiya's eyes widened at the boy's nonchalant words. He sputtered for a moment before composing himself. Ahem, well, that shouldn't be something you should talk about so casually, kid. Jiraiya said diplomatically, accepting the situation for what it was. How long have you known? Including my past life, or just this one? Naruto asked. What? Jiraiya said, giving the boy a bewildered look. What's that supposed to mean? It's just a joke. Don't mind it, Naruto said, suddenly smiling. Say, have you met my sensei? He reads your books all the time. Jiraiya was about to answer before someone else beat him to it. Yeah, he's met me. The toad sage turned around to see Kakashi walking towards them at a casual pace with one of his Ika books in his right hand. The copy nin raised his hand in greeting. Yo. Ah, Kakashi, long time no see. Jiraiya smiled, wondering if Kakashi knew exactly who his student was. Or had he chosen not to repress his memories like he had? I see you've already become acquainted with my student. Kakashi smiled underneath his mask. I've told him all about your books and what kind of man you are. You know how I look up to you and all that. Always the kidder. Jiraiya chuckled good-naturedly. How've you been? I think that's a question you should be asking me instead. Naruto broke in, glaring at the older man as Jiraiya turned back towards him. After all, I'd think you'd be curious about what your godson has been doing for the past 13 years. Jiraiya's mouth fell open in shock. Naruto continued to glare at him. Why you know about? Jiraiya stuttered before whirling around to face Kakashi again. Did you tell him? He actually figured it out himself, though we should have been the ones who told him. Kakashi said solemnly, I would be angry at you for abandoning him like you did, but that would be too hypocritical even if dumping your godfather duties on me wasn't what you should have done. But how did he find out about? My dad told me himself. Naruto said, again shocking the man. Though, it took 16 years in a past life just to figure it out. Jiraiya blinked. A past life. He said that earlier too, but what did it? Naruto-sama. Jiraiya heard a third, female voice. He turned and saw a very beautiful white-haired girl in a short-skirted kimono step out from behind Kakashi. How she had gone unnoticed up until now was beyond him. Do it, Yujiro. Naruto nodded to the girl, Yujiro, who nodded back in response. She placed herself between Naruto and Jiraiya. Kakashi, who's this? Jiraiya asked, looking to his pupil's student for assistance. It'll all become clear soon, Jiraiya-sensei. Kakashi smiled as a reply. Jiraiya turned back towards the girl only to feel two fingers poke his forehead. Remember your past life, Jiraiya-san. Jiraiya's eyes widened as he felt his mind explode. Images and memories flooded his head as he went through the same process Kakashi, Zabuza, Utakata, and Gaara had gone through before him. He remembered everything. Meeting Naruto at a hot spring, teaching him how to summon toads and how to use the Rasengan, their search for Tsunade, the 3 years they spent training together, how he had gone to investigate Akatsuki and had gotten killed by Nagato, and all of his adventures with Naruto and his friends in between and up until his death. Even then, Naruto's memories filled him in on what happened after he had died and how things had ended up. After the last image of Sasuke's sword striking through Naruto's chest shot through his mind, the recovery of his memories ended. When his vision refocused, he saw Naruto smiling at him. "Ero-sensei." "Naruto," Jiraiya whispered as a smile broke out onto his face. The Toad Sannin blinked when the boy's happy expression warped into an angry glower. He blinked again when Naruto brought his fist back. "You bastard," Naruto roared, slamming his fist into the side of the man's face and sending him to the ground. Kakashi blinked in surprise while Yujiro gasped at the sudden display of violence and anger. Jiraiya made an effort to get up, only to let out a pained yelp when Naruto kicked him in the stomach. "Where the hell were you for most of my life? What the fuck kind of godfather are you? Hey, ease up on ow. Watch it, damn it, Naruto, I didn't ow. You stupid, useless pervert of a teacher. Why didn't you tell me the Yondaime was my father?" Naruto shouted, landing another punch on the man's face. "Or that you were his teacher. That you were my godfather. Or how you abandoned me for my entire childhood. Was your research more important than me? That wasn't it. You know we had reasons for keeping the information from you," Jiraiya protested, glaring at the boy before he was kicked again. "I wanted to tell you, but I yow. Don't give me that, I had a right to know," Naruto yelled as his anger hit its peak. "Do you know how difficult it was for me growing up? Would it have killed you to at least pay a visit? Disobey the old man's dumbass rules and tell me that I had parents who loved me? It took me 16 fucking years to figure out that I even had parents. Hell, they were dead and they were the ones who ended up telling me. We were going to tell you when we felt you were ready. We did it to protect you," Jiraiya said, trying to reason with him. "Minato had lots of enemies. Iwa would have started a war just to kill the Yellow Flash's son. Plus, if we had told you, there's no way you wouldn't have bragged about it." "That is hardly the point," Naruto screamed back, not denying the accusation. While Godson and Godfather argued, Yujiro and Kakashi stood a couple feet away from the squabble. While Yujiro had a worried expression on her face, Kakashi looked more amused than anything else. Kakashi-san, should we stop them?" "No, it's fine," Kakashi said, shaking his head at the girl. "It's not like Jiraiya doesn't deserve it. But Naruto has a right to be angry. His godfather abandoned him, didn't tell him anything about his parents before he died, so I'd be surprised if he wasn't mad. Part of me wants to go help him throttle the pervert since he tried to dump his duties onto me when I was no more fit to take care of Naruto than he was. Coming from you, that's rather hypocritical," Yujiro said sternly. "Got me there," Kakashi agreed with a bitter laugh, though they had already been over that. He had done so little for Naruto in the past. At least he was trying now, and Kakashi was grateful that Naruto had accepted his remorse and apology. The copy nin was doing everything he could to make sure Naruto's dreams would come to pass this time. And he was arriving early to their training sessions now. That had to count for something, right? Even still, that probably didn't change the fact that Kushina was going to kill them once they got to the afterlife. And Minato was going to hold the copy ninja and Toad Sannin down while she did it. OWCH, Jiraiya yelped as Naruto's fist connected with his nose. He quickly got up so he could at least attempt to guard against the blonde's angry attacks. "Naruto, would you please stop hitting oomph?" Air was pushed out of the man's lungs as Naruto tackled him. It didn't bring the Sannin down, but it was enough to stagger him. Jiraiya was about to retaliate, but blinked when he felt a pair of arms wrap themselves around his midsection, holding him tight. He looked down at Naruto with a perplexed expression. "Damn it, I missed you, Ero-sensei," Naruto muttered into the man's shirt. A smile made its way onto the man's face. He slowly wrapped his arms around his godson to return the hug. "I missed you too, kid. XXXXX. Wait. So Madara was the one who, and Nagato wasn't. Not just Nagato, but the whole of Akatsuki was Madara's tool from the beginning. We just never knew." Kakashi sighed as he finished explaining things to Jiraiya. The man let out a large breath as he leaned back in his seat. "I sure missed a lot," Jiraiya murmured, his eyes wide in disbelief with everything that had just been brought to light. He turned to Naruto with a sympathetic expression on his face. "Sorry about everything you went through." Jiraiya wanted to say much more than that, but the magnitude of everything that had been pushed onto the boy's shoulders, coupled with the fact that he had failed in his mission, couldn't even be described. Jiraiya didn't even think the appropriate consoling words even existed. "What happened has happened," Naruto said, narrowing his eyes as he stared at his teacher. "But the fact of the matter is, I'm here, I'm alive, and I intend to end things once and for all this time around. Jiraiya smiled. Even after everything he had been through, the boy still remained strong. A weaker man might have already broken, but Naruto had proven time and time again that he was anything but weak. So will you help me out, Ero-sensei? Naruto asked hesitantly. The unsure tone and insecurity in his voice almost made Jiraiya laugh. Did he really have so little faith in his godfather? After everything he had been put through, it wasn't even a question. Do you even have to ask? Jiraiya smirked, ruffling the boy's hair. A teacher is supposed to help his student, and as your godfather I have a duty to take care of you. Not to mention I've got a number of years to make up for that. Ero-sensei, Naruto exclaimed happily. Oh yeah, you made the right choice by letting the gallant Jiraiya in on your plans. We've got lots of work to do to prepare for the finals. You're gonna kick ass. Naruto whooped and grabbed onto the older man, hugging his godfather joyfully. Now that he had released his anger and stress, Naruto could hardly contain his joy. Jiraiya was alive again, just like everyone else. Seeing his precious people alive and well again was something Naruto would probably never get tired of. And now, he could finally start training to fight Orochimaru. Alright Ero-sensei, let's train, right now, Naruto shouted enthusiastically. It was still early, and Naruto wanted to make sure that this day wasn't wasted. Brat, just because you're my godson doesn't mean you can order me around. Jiraiya shouted back, though the man was grinning. Kakashi and Yujiro shared a laugh over the duo's antics and decided it would be best to take their leave. Kakashi was the first to stand up. Give me a shout if you need help with anything. I should probably go meet up with Sasuke and Sakura before I'm late. Kakashi nodded to the two before disappearing in a whirl of leaves. Yujiro stood up shortly afterward. If I am not needed any longer, I will excuse myself as well. I have a few errands I wish to get done as well. Naruto-sama, Jiraiya-san. The girl bowed before leaving the training grounds. Jiraiya stared after her for a moment before turning back towards Naruto. The girl was strange, and how Minato and Kushina had managed to bring someone like her back to life along with Naruto was a miracle and a mystery, but from what Naruto had told him the girl was a loyal, formidable ally who had helped him more times than the boy could count. She was just one of the many new variables within this second life, but a valuable ally. Jiraiya made a mental note of getting back at the girl yesterday, that Haku girl Naruto had rescued, for almost getting him killed. She may be another strong ally, but that didn't exempt her from vengeance, even if he got what he deserved. Oh, hey, Ero-sensei. Naruto spoke up, remembering another issue he had to bring up. I almost forgot I had to tell you something. Jiraiya gave the boy his undivided attention. He and Kakashi had already explained everything from their plans, the trip to Kiri, to Gaara and Anko's involvement in their invasion plans, and so on. What could he have possibly left out? It's about the Kyuubi. Jiraiya's eyebrows rose. Naruto groaned. He couldn't believe he had almost forgotten something so important. XXXXX. Naruto grinned happily to himself as he made his way back towards his apartment. He whistled tunelessly to himself and practically bounced on his heels. Life was great. He was looking forward to tomorrow. They'd finally be able to get the real training started. For most of the day, Naruto had answered any remaining questions Jiraiya had and made sure that the man was brought up to speed on their plans regarding the invasion. Jiraiya had once mentioned during their travels that he had fought Orochimaru one-on-one before he turned into a missing ninja, and while he had been in a position to kill the man he had been hesitant and let him go due to their past friendship. However, Jiraiya had shown no hesitancy when he was told of their plans and promised to train Naruto so he could fight and survive against Orochimaru. Unfortunately, fighting Orochimaru and winning was an entirely different matter. They had just spent the day practicing taijutsu and bringing Jiraiya up to speed on Naruto's current abilities. The Toad Sannin had been impressed with Naruto's improvements in ninjutsu and chakra control, which was a definite plus considering who he'd be fighting against. Retaining his old abilities, even if they were limited, was also helpful to their cause. Tomorrow, he would resign the Toad Summoning Scroll and learn about the best ways to counter Orochimaru's techniques. Not only that, but he'd also learn how to tap into the Kyuubi's power. Naruto had told Jiraiya of the deal he made with the fox and how he had some of the demon's chakra present within his own system for him to use any time he wished. While it unnerved Jiraiya a bit that Naruto was agreeing to work with the bloodthirsty demon, he couldn't deny that its power would probably be needed during the invasion. No, it was no question that the Kyuubi's power was needed. It was Orochimaru, after all. Naruto shook his head, deciding to worry about the future later and just focus on his elation for now. He could worry about all that later and instead relish in the feeling of happiness and excitement that bubbled within him. He didn't have to waste time fretting over Orochimaru when he'd probably be stuck in a bed healing himself until the finals began. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki's grin widened as his apartment came into view. He walked up the stairs that led to his room and opened the door. "I'm home." He was answered with silence. He was a little surprised when Yuzora's usual greeting was absent. Naruto glanced around the apartment in search of the girl. "Huh, I guess those errands are taking longer than I thought," Naruto mused when his search proved fruitless. His stomach rumbled as his hunger became apparent. He checked on Gaara in the spare bedroom before making his way towards the kitchen. The Ikibi container was still sleeping soundly, and Naruto felt no need to wake him up. He'd let him sleep for as long as he wanted. Naruto opened the pantry and took out a cup of instant ramen. It had been a while since he had the stuff since Yuzura usually cooked for him, and occasionally Haku would if she was feeling up for it. Those two had definitely added some much-needed variety in his diet. "Ramen is still the best though," Naruto said to himself after the noodles had been heated. He quickly got to work on his meal. Naruto turned in his seat when he heard the door open. A few seconds later Yuzura walked into the kitchen, her eyes widening when she noticed her master staring at her. "Naruto-sama, you're home." Yuzura smiled as her expression relaxed. "Hey," Naruto said as he raised one hand in greeting. "All finished with those errands?" "Ah, yes, I'm sorry that I couldn't make dinner." "Don't apologize for that, I think I can survive off ramen for one night." Naruto grinned before turning back towards his meal. He quickly did a double take and turned back towards Yuzura, taking in her appearance. Her clothes looks a little disheveled, as there were dirt stains on her hands and the ends of her kimono. He also noticed a tear on the shoulder seam of her dress, which she was trying to cover up. "What were you doing?" Naruto asked in concern. "It's nothing. I was actually out practicing with my sword earlier and lost track of time." Yuzura smiled in response. "You got that dirty from practicing?" "Haku-chan sparred with me for a bit before she left on her scouting mission." Yuzura replied. "She doesn't hold back when she's serious. She uses too many senbon." "Ha ha ha, but if all you got was a tear in your dress then that just goes to show how fast you are. You should feel proud." Naruto grinned at her. "My speed and skill with the sword are some of the few things I pride myself with." Yuzura smiled in response. "Now if you'll excuse me, I'd like to take a shower and turn in for the day." Naruto nodded as Yuzura headed towards the bathroom. He threw away his cup as he gobbled up the last of the ramen. He headed into his room after deciding that he should end the day as well. He yawned as he pulled up his covers and settled into bed. "I wonder how Haku's mission is going," Naruto murmured as an afterthought before sleep took him. XXXXX. It was nighttime. The sun had set hours ago and the entire village of Konoha was sound asleep. Well, most of it was anyway. Shady characters usually like to avoid the large crowds and amiable bustle that takes place during the daytime, so when the moon is shining it usually means that it's the best time to conduct business. Kabuto adjusted his glasses as Baki voiced his concerns about their meeting. The Suna Jonin had been surprised, and suspicious, when Kabuto had shown up instead of the Snake Sanin himself. The traitor had assured the man that Orochimaru had urgent matters to attend to and that his word was the same as his absent master's. To curb whatever doubt the Jonin had left, Kabuto told him that said matters pertained to their plans for Konoha. That simple lie was enough to stop the man's questions and allowed them to finally move on to more important matters. "Preparations are almost complete. Our agents are moving into position and traps are being set up." Kabuto smiled as the moonlight reflected off his lens. "All we have to do is wait." "Yes, well," Baki trailed off. "There is the matter of more concerns. If this invasion is to be successful, you and your ninja can't be half-hearted about it, Baki-san." Kabuto said, almost teasingly. "We were not informed of your leader's stunt during the second test." Baki said firmly, narrowing his eyes as the Odo ninja. "The Hokage has increased security. Konoha ninja have become more cautious and alert. Scouting teams are being sent out. If not for Orochimaru's careless move, we would not have to tread so lightly. I've already gotten word that a few of your ninja have already been flushed out." "Strategy," Kabuto said by way of explanation, letting out a small chuckle as he turned towards the man. "The grunts that have been captured, which are few in number, will placate Konoha to a certain degree, luring them back into that false sense of security that will leave them vulnerable to our attack. Konoha is an arrogant village and has enjoyed a long era of peace and prosperity. Capturing a few rogue ninja. No, letting them capture our ninja will make them feel safe. Aren't you worried about information being leaked? Those who have been captured know little of our actual plans. They are decoys, nothing more. Baki nodded unsurely, glaring at the boy beside him. Truthfully, the man had mixed feelings about this whole invasion. He did not approve of Orochimaru's methods, sacrificing his own men to draw attention away from their activities, regardless of whether or not it was necessary to do so. However, Baki did have resentment towards Konoha. Even if they were allies, the Wind Daimyo favored Konoha more and was sending most of the mission requests to the Land of Fire. The lack of funds brought in from missions was really hurting their military and other aspects of their village, which had led to quite the economic slump. It was their Cage's belief that this invasion would help Sunagaka recover. Really, Baki could hardly see the merits of going up against Konoha, or teaming up with someone like Orochimaru. But it's our mission, Baki thought solemnly, banishing any doubts he had. If the Cage believes this will help our village, then it must be so. If anything, it will prove to the other villages that Suna isn't weak. You have nothing to worry about. Kabuto smiled disarmingly. Orochimaru would not do anything to sabotage the invasion. Everything will proceed as planned. HMPH. And no more attacks without our knowing. I cannot predict what Orochimaru-sama will do. Even if I am his right hand, I know little of what goes on in that man's head. Don't play games with me, Kabuto. Baki growled harshly. My men are not tools Orochimaru can use and dispose of. We act in our village's best interest, and if my men keep overlooking your men and their actions, that will only draw suspicion towards us. Unlike them, we are not your pawns. Kabuto managed to keep himself from laughing at that. It was funny how ironic things truly were for Suna. If there are any more plans I am not aware of, I want to be informed immediately. I don't want to sacrifice any of our men needlessly. If you cannot agree to that, then I will report to the Cage and tell him you cannot be trusted and nullify this alliance. Do I make myself clear? Perfectly, Kabuto assured the man. Unbeknownst to them, someone else was listening in on their conversation. Hayate Gecko, proctor for the preliminaries, tried to stifle his coughs as he strained to listen what the two ninja were talking about. Suna is allied with Orochimaru. Hayate's eyes widened as the conversation dragged on. They plan to invade Konoha. I have to tell the Hokage immediately. I believe that covers about everything, Kabuto said as he pushed up his glasses. Do you have any more questions? None. Baki shook his head. Let us know if you. Yes, we'll keep you updated. Kabuto chuckled. Don't come us, we'll come to you if there's any new information. Goodbye. Baki watched as Kabuto faded into the shadows. He turned his head and narrowed his eyes towards a rooftop a few meters away. Baki smirked as slowly started walking towards it. Don't think that I didn't sense you. From his hiding spot, Hayate gripped onto his sword. Sweat dripped down his brow as he heard the footsteps come closer and closer. Looks like if he had any hope of getting the information to the Hokage he'd have to fight. But could he take him on? This guy was strong, but if he could get the drop on him then maybe. Hayate's eyes widened as a hand clamped around his mouth and pulled him into the shadows. Baki gathered up his chakra as he slowly approached the spot where the chakra signature had come from. He made a few hand signs and prepared to strike when. With a soft meow, a brown cat hopped out from behind the roof tiles and scampered down the roof. Baki stared after it with a slightly bewildered expression. The man sighed as his chakra faded. I'm being too paranoid. He quickly hopped down from the roof and made his way towards the inn he and his team were staying at. It wouldn't be good if anyone else caught him out here so late at night. However, in a dark alleyway, Hayate was slowly regaining his bearings, thanking the three individuals who had pulled his ass out of the fire back there. Thank you. Hayate coughed, nodding his head towards Kakashi, Anko, and the black-haired girl who had pulled him through some sort of mirror. I don't know if I could have gotten away if he had. Yeah, don't worry about it, Gecko. Anko waved him off as he broke out into a fit of coughs. She turned towards her two companions, smiling at Haku. Good work back there, girl. Of course, Haku smiled. She turned towards Hayate. Sorry sir, but would you like a cough drop? Don't be rude, Anko snickered, bopping the girl upside the head. Kakashi leaned down next to Hayate with a solemn expression. So you heard all that, right? Kakashi asked grimly. Why yes, I did, Hayate said, eyes widening as he remembered the conversation. Orochimaru's attack during the second exam, it's part of an invasion plan. Suna's betrayed us. We have to tell the Hokage before they— Oh no you don't, Anko snarled, punching the man in the stomach to cut off his rant. Anko-san, Hayate wheezed, giving her a surprised look. You're gonna keep this conversation quiet, alright? Whatever you do, don't speak a word to anyone. What? Gecko, we're working to prevent this invasion from succeeding, but to do that we have to be careful about how we go about things. Kakashi said solemnly, we can't tell the Hokage and risk tipping off Orochimaru. Oh yeah, Sensei's a cunning, resourceful bastard. If he thinks for even a moment that we're in on his plans, he'll probably rework the whole thing to ward us off. Anko growled as she spoke of her hated teacher. She glared at Hayate. We can't let him think we're aware. If we do, we're screwed. What are you talking about? Under whose orders are we to keep this information a secret? Hayate said warily, wondering why such valuable intel was not to be revealed. His eyes widened. Don't tell me you three are working for Orochimaru. You asshole, I'd never, ever work for that scumbag and you know it. Anko seethed after punching the man across the face. Throwing such wild accusations around. Maybe I shouldn't have saved him after all, Haku said in a flat tone, narrowing her eyes at the Tokubetsu Jonin. Now, settle down you two. Kakashi chuckled, placing a friendly hand on Hayate's shoulder as he held him away from the two irritated girls. He turned towards the proctor. You don't really believe us out of all the ninja in Konoha to be traitors for Orochimaru, do you? Well, Hayate trailed off. He couldn't say for the mirror girl, but Kakashi and Anko. He truly believed that notion was highly doubtful. A harsh glare from Anko led to the special Jonin shaking his head. Hayate, we're ninja. Sometimes we have to keep information away from even our most trusted friends to protect them. We're acting in the best interest of the village, and if we have any hope of protecting it, we'll have to keep Suna's involvement in the invasion a secret. But even still, Kakashi let out a frustrated groan. What could he say to convince the man? Suddenly, he thought of a valid reason. Fine, I'll tell you. This is a personal order from Jiraiya of the Sannin. Kakashi replied. Jiraiya-san, Hayate gasped. He knows about. We're all in on this. Kakashi replied, gesturing to Haku and Anko. Us and a few others. Jiraiya had been tracking Orochimaru, and after doing some investigating he found out about the invasion plans. What he found strange was why Suna would involve themselves with Orochimaru when we all know what kind of man he is. Only the Cage could persuade such an alliance, so Jiraiya looked into it. He hasn't uncovered any defining evidence, but we all get the feeling that Orochimaru has just as many bugs in Suna as he does in Konoha. I see, Hayate nodded, finally understanding the magnitude of the situation. So we tell no one of what we know. What I heard tonight. No, Kakashi shook his head. What we need to do is stay patient and wait. We'll keep you informed, just so long as you keep things a secret. Do you understand? Yes, I won't tell anyone about what happened. Hayate nodded. I want your word, Hayate. You have to understand how serious this is. Kakashi said seriously. You have my word. On my honor as a ninja, I won't speak of what went on here tonight. Hayate said resolutely. Kakashi smiled under his mask. Good. Kakashi nodded, clapping the man's shoulder. Now get going. If you have any information you think is important, make sure me or Anko hear about it before anyone else. Don't misplace our trust. Or I'll come after you with snakes and sharp pointy things. Anko added as a threat. Yes, if you'll excuse me. Hayate made a few hand signs and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Kakashi let out a relieved sigh and turned towards Anko and Haku with a tired expression. I hate negotiating, and lying. It's only a half-truth, Kakashi-san. Haku smiled at him. Jiraiya-san really is in on our plans, and we have good reasons for doing what we're doing. Do not doubt that. Guy should be grateful for saving his hide in the first place. Anko scoffed. Working for Orochimaru, prick. I think Gecko-san's just lucky I remembered Baki killing him before the invasion started. Kakashi thought to himself. Having memories of the past really did have its benefits, as did having Hayate as an ally. They could use the extra pair of eyes, ears and hands. Unfortunately, the full extent of how far their plans went would have to be kept a secret from the coughing Jonin, but his help would be appreciated. XXXXX. Day 6. Okay, here I go. The Toad summoning scroll laid in front of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, his name added to the scroll and making him the 30th summoner of the Toad clan. Jiraiya stood before him with a proud smile as Naruto went through the necessary hand seals to perform the summoning jutsu. With an excited grin plastered onto his face, Naruto slammed his hand down onto the ground. Kuchio's no jutsu. In a puff of smoke, a familiar orange face emerged. Whoa, so this is what it feels like to be summoned. Gamakichi said before staring up at his summoner. Yo, I'm Gamakichi. The name's Naruto. Good to meetacha. Naruto grinned upon seeing the kid Toad again. The familiarity was nice. The human and Toad shook hands in greeting. Still, to summon the little Toad on his first try was another big improvement as compared to the past, and definitely a far cry from the tadpoles Naruto summoned when he first started out. Naruto felt he owed it to his chakra control training with Hinata since he found it easier to release concentrated bursts of chakra than previously. Don't think I've heard of you before. You a new summoner? Gamakichi asked. Yep, just signed on today. You should feel lucky, since you got summoned by the future Hokage of Konoha. Naruto grinned. Future Hokage, you don't look like much to me. Hey. Alright, break it up you two. Jiraiya chuckled, stopping the fight before it could begin. Not bad for a first time, kid. A purebred Toad right off the bat. We'll summon Gamabunta later so he can acknowledge you as a true summoner of the Toads. Jiraiya blinked when another audible poof was heard. A small yellow frog was suddenly sitting next to Gamakichi. Oh, hey, I got summoned for the first time. Cool. Gamatatsu smiled as he took a look around. A splotch of yellow from above him caught his attention. Hey, are you the one that summoned me? Yep, I'm Naruto. The boy grinned down at him. Man, it was good to see those two again. Okay, my name is Gamatatsu. I like your hair. We're the same color. So, do you have any snacks? Gamatatsu. Don't just ask for snacks out of the blue, you idiot. The orange Toad shouted from beside him. Oh, hi, Gamakichi. I didn't see you there. The yellow Toad greeted his older brother. So this is where you disappeared off to. I was wondering where you went. Naruto laughed at the duo's antics as he dug around inside his pocket. He pulled out a few pieces of candy and held them out to the yellow Toad. Here you go. Oh, Gamatatsu immediately stuffed them in his mouth, wrapper and all, and swallowed them whole. He grinned at the new summoner with a look of adoration on his chubby features. We got a good summoner. You're such a sellout. As the two Toads proceeded to argue, Jiraiya turned towards Naruto with a confused expression. Why'd you summon him too? I didn't mean to, Naruto admitted, even if it was a welcome accident. I was actually trying to summon Bunta. What makes you think you could? Jiraiya deadpanned. Well, you know, I have some of the Kyuubi's chakra in my system already, so I figured if I just concentrated hard enough I could summon him. Idiot, Jiraiya said bluntly, knocking the boy on the head. Even if some of the Kyuubi's chakra is sealed inside your own chakra system, it's still the Kyuubi's. Since it isn't your natural chakra, you won't be able to pull it out as easily. Jiraiya sighed, thinking of a way he could explain it. Okay, think of it like this. Whenever you use a jutsu, what do? Jiraiya asked. I use my chakra, Naruto said as though it were the most obvious thing in the world. Right, but because it's your chakra, you're already accustomed to using it. You subconsciously learn to gather your own chakra without thinking of it. Jiraiya explained. However, whenever you use the Kyuubi's chakra, you've had to ask him directly or strain yourself to use it. It's not how you usually go about using your chakra. You have to find some way to call upon the Kyuubi's chakra within your system at will instead of using your own chakra. Well then, couldn't I just ask the Kyuubi to give it to me? Naruto asked. No, there's a reason Minato sealed the chakra in your system and away from the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi's chakra is somewhere in your system, you just have to find it and figure out a way to draw on it consciously by yourself. You have two chakras? Gamatatsu asked, overhearing the conversation. Don't be an idiot, that's impossible, Gamakichi said, glaring at his brother. Actually, for Naruto that's true. Jiraiya told the two of them, much to their surprise. See, Naruto's a special case. Oh, you hear that, Gamakichi? We got a special summoner. What? No way. Naruto did his best to ignore the voices as he concentrated on building up his chakra. He figured that using his Kyuubi chakra was similar in feeling to how he would normally get it from the Kyuubi. Whenever he used the Kyuubi's chakra, it would feel like a dam had burst within his body and an infinite supply of chakra was suddenly available to him. Unfortunately, he did feel anything of the sort. He felt the same as he usually did when he used chakra. It was a lot, but not the geyser of chakra he would get from the demon sealed inside him. Having trouble? Jiraiya asked. Naruto sighed and nodded as he let his chakra subside. Yeah, it just feels the same as I normally do. Well, whenever you use the Kyuubi's chakra you'd usually be in an extreme situation. Maybe heightened emotions have something to do with it. Jiraiya suggested. I know, how about we? If you suggest throwing me off a cliff, I'm going to hurt you. Naruto deadpanned, glaring at his teacher. Jiraiya closed his mouth. His expression turned sheepish as he rubbed the back of his head. Naruto shook his head as he tried concentrating his chakra again. He closed his eyes tight as he tried to focus, but he just couldn't do it. What am I looking for? Naruto thought as he continued to build up his chakra. I can't use it like I would with my normal chakra, and I can't ask the Kyuubi to give it to me since he doesn't have access to it. What can I do? Think, flashbag. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard a familiar hiss in his mind. Kyuubi. Demonic chakra, my chakra, is different from a human's. I thought you would have realized that by now. The Kyuubi chuckled. You can't just use it like that. The pervert was onto something when he said it was your emotions that had something to do with it. Huh. My chakra is tainted. It's corrupt. You want to know how I use my chakra? The Kyuubi asked. Naruto could actually hear him smirk. How? I'm a living mass of malevolence and hatred, you useless meat sack. My chakra is used to destroy, corrupt, kill, and annihilate anything that stands in my way. Obviously, unless you feel the need to kill something, my chakra won't do squat. What are you saying? Tell me why you want to use my chakra. I'm trying to summon Gamabunta, you ugly furball. Naruto shouted back mentally. The Kyuubi rolled his eyes. I'm not talking about right this second. For what reason do you want to use my chakra? Isn't it obvious? It's so I can protect my friends. Is that all? The Kyuubi smirked. Yes, that's all. Don't get any weird ideas. The Kyuubi sighed, trying a different approach. Okay, tell me honestly then. Do you believe that you can beat that snake wannabe without my chakra? Naruto was hesitant to answer. He knew the answer, but he really didn't want to give the Kyuubi any satisfaction. Number. The Kyuubi smiled. HMPH. At least you've gotten smarter. You need my power, but not to protect your friends. Ha ha ha. No, that's not the reason. What are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? You want my power so you can kill, so you can be strong, so that you can destroy anything and anyone who stands in your way. What? That's not true. Is it? Tell me, what are you going to do when you fight the snake wannabe again? That's easy. I'm going to use all my power to crush and kill him. Naruto paused. The Kyuubi's smile grew. Yes, that's it. You want to kill him. You want to slaughter him. Destroy him. So what? He's evil and needs to go down. You need power, plain and simple. Without me, you're likely to die when you fight him again. I know I can't fail. If I do, then everything I've done up until now. Damn it, if you're planning to kill someone, then don't be half-assed about it. The Kyuubi snarled. You're a ninja, you're a killer. Death and destruction is a part of your life. Deceit and killing are in your damn job description. Why are you so hesitant to admit that you want to kill that snake wannabe just for the sake of killing him? I do want to kill him, Naruto admitted slowly. Yes, the Kyuubi leered. You want revenge. You want to kill him. Slaughter him and all his minions. That glasses-wearing freak is another one on your hit list too, isn't he? Kabuto. You hate them. You despise them. You will kill them. The Kyuubi hissed. You will kill that snake bastard and everyone who stands in your way. Get revenge on those who wronged you in your past life. Yes, I'll kill them. They won't stop me. I'll make them pay this time. The Kyuubi smiled gleefully at the hatred in his host's voice. He pressed on, building up his chakra as he continued to speak to his container. You slaughter the invaders, destroy any opposition. And not just them. The whole of Akatsuki will tremble before you, begging for mercy. You'll kill each and every one of those bastards who dare stand before you. That's right, they won't get to me or anyone else. I'll kill them before that happens. Unknown to Naruto, Jiraiya was shouting frantically to Naruto, whose features were undergoing a drastic change. His features were sharpening and his whisker marks became larger, a sure sign of his initial Jinchuriki form transformation. Hey, what's wrong with him? Gamakichi shouted in alarm. Gamatatsu was watching Naruto with wide eyes. It's the Kyuubi's power affecting him. Damn it, Naruto, what are you doing? Jiraiya shouted. The exchange continued inside Naruto's mind uninterrupted by any third party. Good. The Kyuubi howled. He could feel his chakra rising. He pumped his chakra into his host, straining against the seal. And when the time finally comes to face that Uchiha bastard, Madara, we shall annihilate him. You will destroy him. That bastard is going to die. I'll kill him with everything I have. You will kill because they are in your way. You will kill to prove you are strong. You shall kill every single last one of them and bathe in the blood. Relish in their defeat. Laugh as you destroy them. Number. The Kyuubi's laugh stopped abruptly. The demon's eyes widened. What? No, I don't kill for those reasons. I'm not going to kill for those reasons. The demonic chakra the Kyuubi was exerting was suddenly pushed back into him. The Kyuubi shouted. What are you talking about? You want to kill those bastards, don't you? You admitted it. Yes, I want to kill them. Naruto agreed, but not for those reasons. What? Jiraiya's eyes widened as the Kyuubi's chakra suddenly started to fade away. No, he felt the Kyuubi's presence disappear, but the demonic features on Naruto stayed. I'll kill them not because I want to. Not because I want revenge for what happened in the past. But because it's necessary. Naruto could feel it, that familiar feeling. What are you? I never killed because I enjoyed it. I didn't fight because I liked it. I have always fought to protect the people close to me. I will do whatever is necessary to protect the people I love. The Kyuubi could hear the defiance, the conviction, the determination in his host's voice. I will grow stronger. I will be stronger. And my reason. Naruto opened his eyes. He was inside his mindscape, staring at the Kyuubi who stared back at him from within the cage. My reason is so I can protect those people precious to me. And if I have to kill to protect them, then so be it. Naruto said resolutely and without any hesitance whatsoever. The Kyuubi glared at him through the bars of the cage. You know, I had thought our agreement meant that you wouldn't try any attempts to get out, but I guess that was too much to hope for. Naruto smirked up at the demon. But I'll let this little incident slide so long as it doesn't happen again. After all, it's the least I can do for all your help. The Kyuubi's eyes widened. Help. Yep, thanks to you, I figured out how to use your chakra that was in my system. Naruto smirked. Turns out it was tied to my emotions. But it was hatred, anger, or anything negative that lets me use it. Naruto closed his eyes, leaving his mindscape. When he reopened them, he was met with the shocked expressions of Jiraiya and the two small toads. Naruto raised one clawed hand as he built up his chakra. You guys might want to stand back. Jiraiya grabbed Gamakichi and Gamatatsu and he retreated to the far end of the training ground. Naruto raised his fist as a surge of chakra was brought forth. My will, my determination. He slammed his hand down. Kuchio's no jutsu. And in a large cloud of smoke, the chief toad Gamabunta appeared. Naruto grinned as his features returned to normal as the Kyuubi's chakra boost faded away. That is my power, Kyuubi. A low, frustrated growl was the demon's only answer. Naruto sighed as he felt the Kyuubi's chakra fade away. He stared at his hands as they lost their claws, his fingernails shortening back to their blunt edges. Naruto flexed his fingers and clenched his fists and the last of the chakra faded away. That was different, Naruto thought to himself. Or it was different from how it usually felt when he called upon the Kyuubi's chakra. But he had to remind himself that, while the power was the Kyuubi's, the chakra was practically his. He supposed the main difference was that instead of feeling like the power was being borrowed, it felt like his own. Granted, he had to dig deep to get that power, but it still felt like his chakra. Somewhat. Gra-og, where the hell am I? A booming voice from above brought Naruto out of his musings. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki smiled up at Gamabunta's gargantuan form, happy to see the chief toad once again after all this time. Oh yes, resigning the toad summoning contract had really given him that warm, fuzzy feeling in his stomach. Knowing that he had the toads at his back again had really helped reassure him of the future. Yes, Naruto cheered, feeling a sense of victory after having successfully called upon his dormant Kyuubi chakra. And at having refused the Kyuubi's invitation to the dark side. I summoned the chief toad. Did you see that arrow, sensei? The lack of response made Naruto pause. He glanced around the vicinity and around Gamabunta's legs, looking for the toad sage. Naruto also noted that Gamakichi and Gamatatsu were also nowhere to be found. Guys, Naruto called out, wondering if they were playing some prank on him. Where did you go? A hand that busted out of the earth underneath him caused Naruto to fall over on the ground in surprise. Slowly, the hand dragged out the rest of Jiraiya's body from the earth, Two small toads were clutching onto the man's arms as they rose out of the ground. Naruto stared at Jiraiya as he brushed the dust off of his clothes, and Gamakichi and Gamatatsu jumped down onto the ground. "Ero-sensei, what were you doing under?" Naruto trailed off. He shrank back a bit when Jiraiya gave him a murderous, if not somewhat panicked, look. The Sannin stomped over to Naruto and grabbed him by the front of his collar, hoisting him up and shaking him back and forth. "What were you thinking, you stupid brat?" Jiraiya practically screamed as he shook his godson. "I almost died. Huh. We were standing right in front of you when you summoned Gamabunta." Jiraiya seethed as he stopped shaking Naruto so he could look him right in the eye. "So who do you think he landed on when you summoned the chief, huh?" Naruto thought for a moment before his expression turned sheepish. He suddenly noticed that the man was sweating with fear, having just avoided a gruesome death. He offered Jiraiya an apologetic smile. Hey, oops. The Jinchuriki laughed weakly. "Thanked Kami for my lightning quick reflexes. If I hadn't grabbed the kid toads and dove underground, we probably would have been crushed." Jiraiya shivered. He glanced back at Gamabunta's kids. "You two okay?" "We're fine." Gamakichi waved him off. "We would have been dispelled if Pops was gonna land on us anyway." "Automatic dispelling when our lives are in peril." Gamatatsu grinned at Naruto. "Don't worry about it. Accidents happen. Just pay me back with snacks if you're feeling guilty though." "Sorry guys." Naruto apologized. "At least I summoned him, right?" Jiraiya paled. "Oh yes, he almost forgot." "Jiraiya." The man jumped when Gamabunta stared down at the human with an annoyed look on his face. The toad glanced around the area before turning back and aiming a glare at the old pervert. "Why the hell did you summon me? I don't see anyone else here. There's no fight. I told you that you can only summon me when there's a fight. And why the hell are there two of you?" Jiraiya blinked in confusion at that last statement. Shrugging it off for now, the toad Sannin rubbed the back of his head as he tried to come up with a valid explanation for his summoning. Damn it, he had known this was coming. He should have rehearsed something to put Gamabunta in a better mood. Well, best to tell it like it is in these cases. "Actually, I'm not the one who summoned you," Jiraiya said meekly as he gestured to the blonde beside him. "He did." Gamabunta squinted his eyes at the boy before they shot open in shock. "What the, Minato, I thought you were dead. And did you get shorter?" Naruto and Jiraiya's eyes widened at the mistaken identity. The toad sage quickly waved his hands to deny the toad's claim. No. This isn't Minato. This is the new summoner of the toads, Naruto." Jiraiya shouted. This was strange. It wasn't like Gamabunta to make a mistake like that. Plus, he was well aware of Minato's death. He had been there when the man sacrificed himself to seal away the Kyuubi inside Naruto. "Hey, Ero-sensei, does Gamabunta seem a little off to you?" Naruto whispered with puzzled expression. So Jiraiya wasn't the only one who thought that. "Not Minato. This kid almost looks like a copy of him." Gamabunta laughed for a moment before pausing. "Wait, are you telling me this brat summoned me?" "Yes." "Impossible," the toad bellowed. "A brat couldn't summon me no matter how hard he tried. I think I remember someone telling me we got a new summoner. But there's no way a newbie summoned me." "Well, I just did," Naruto shouted irately, much to Jiraiya's panic. "I'm the new summoner for the toads and I summoned you. Don't deny it." "Silence," Gamabunta shouted, the volume in his voice shooting a gust of wind at the summoners. "Show some respect to the chief toad, whelp." Jiraiya sniffed the air after Gamabunta had yelled down at them. He recognized that smell. Alcohol. Jiraiya wondered. "Oh, now I know what's going on." Jiraiya and Naruto turned towards Gamakichi as he sighed. Gamatatsu was nodding his head in understanding next to him. "I thought Pops was acting a little weird. He's probably drunk," Gamakichi reported, much to the summoner's shock. "Gamabunta, drunk, how?" Jiraiya demanded. It was only then that he noticed the giant toad's slurred speech and alcohol breath. But that didn't seem possible. It took gallons and gallons upon gallons of alcohol for the giant toad to feel woozy. How the hell did he get drunk? It was probably after that meeting with the cat summons. Gamakichi pointed out, turning towards Gamatatsu. "Weren't we having some kind of argument over some territory in the east?" "Yeah, Mom was talking about it, I think," Gamatatsu said slowly. "Pops got in an argument with the cat boss, remember?" "Oh yeah, the argument was pretty heated. Lasted for hours." Gamakichi nodded. No wonder Pops was reaching for the barrels of sake when he was done. Those cats can be pretty stingy. Jiraiya paled as he listened to this conversation. It didn't help when he finally noticed that Naruto had been arguing with the Chief Toad throughout Gamakichi and Gamatatsu's discussion. Was the kid an idiot? Arguing with the Toad if he was drunk was practically suicide, especially if he was in a bad mood. Brat, who do you think you are, talking to me like this? Gamabunta roared. Naruto crossed his arms defiantly and glared up at the Toad. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the guy who's gonna become the greatest Hokage who's ever lived. Remember it, Naruto shouted right back. You had better accept me as a summoner, or I'll show you what the future Hokage can do. Jiraiya cowered, waiting for whatever punishment Gamabunta would retaliate with. To his surprise, nothing happened. Uzumaki, huh? The Toad's suddenly clear and concise tone caused Jiraiya to turn his head upwards in shock. Is he sober now? Jiraiya thought, amazed at the sudden change in demeanor. Jiraiya. The man almost had a heart attack when the Toad addressed him. He smiled up at Gamabunta. Yes. This kid, Naruto, is he? Gamabunta stared at the Sannin, giving him a silent message. Jiraiya nodded in response. Gamabunta let out a bewildered sigh. So, you're their kid, huh? Gamabunta chuckled a bit as he leaned back. What should I do now? Naruto stared up at the Toad with a mixed expression. Yet another person who knew who he was and who his parents were but refused to tell him in his past life. Come on Dad, just accept Naruto as a summoner. Naruto blinked when Gamakichi scrambled up on his shoulder and shouted to his father. Gamatatsu took Naruto's other unoccupied shoulder and waved to his dad in greeting. Gamakichi, Gamatatsu, your mother was wondering where you two disappeared off to. Yeah, Naruto summoned us, and you too, Gamakichi told his father. It was pretty crazy, you should just accept him. He's a pretty nice guy and if he summoned you by himself that's gotta be worth something, right? And he gave me snacks. Gamatatsu asserted, I want him as a summoner. You owe it to him. Jiraiya added, gathering his courage and calling up to the Toad. Jiraiya glared at the Toad when he glanced down at the Sannin. You owe it to Naruto and to Minato. Jiraiya thought, conveying the silent message with his eyes. The Chief Toad gave a defeated sigh as he held his hands up. Alright, I guess I owe it to the kid anyways, Gamabunta groaned. He stared down at Naruto and cleared his throat. Now, by the power vested in me as Chief Toad, I hereby accept Naruto Uzumaki as the 30th official summoner of the Toad clan. Happy. Very. Naruto grinned, giving Gamabunta a crisp salute. I look forward to working with you, boss. Hey, looks like you know how to show a little respect, Gamabunta smirked as he chuckled with amusement. But I won't truly consider you my underling until you share some sake with me, got it? Now if we're all done, I'll be heading back now. Gamakichi, Gamatatsu. Yes, Pop, the two Toads asked in unison. Be sure to come home soon. I don't want your mother worrying any more than she has to. You got it, the two Toads chorused again. The Chief Toad nodded in satisfaction. Good, now if you'll excuse me. Chief Toad, out. Gamabunta clapped his hands together and disappeared in a huge puff of smoke. Gamakichi and Gamatatsu hopped off Naruto's shoulders when their dad left. Jiraiya let out a breath he'd been holding in as he approached Naruto. Well, that was a first. I don't think I've ever seen the big guy drunk before. Jiraiya admitted. He glanced at the two smaller Toads. We're actually lucky you summoned those two to put a good word in. I don't know what would have happened if you had kept egging him on. Hey, just because he's the Toad boss doesn't mean he can talk down to me. Naruto shouted, crossing his arms. Gamakichi chuckled, making Naruto glare at him. What, you making fun of me too? Nah, you're a pretty interesting guy. The orange Toad grinned. He gave Naruto his own salute. Looks like we'll be seeing a lot more of each other. Become an awesome summoner, Naruto. Hey, you bet, Naruto grinned back, giving his own salute. That's great and all, but can we go home now? Gamatatsu asked as his stomach growled. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, me too, Gamakichi agreed as he rubbed his stomach. He turned towards Naruto. Can you dispel us so we can go home? Can't you do that yourself? No, we're not old enough. Our summoner has to do it for us. Gamakichi stated. You do know how to dispel us, right? Naruto stared at the Toads for a few seconds before turning towards Jiraiya. Quick, Ero-sensei, teach me how to dispel Toads. Don't you know how? You never taught me, teach me now. You know, maybe making him a summoner wasn't such a good idea after all. Gamakichi sighed as student and teacher began to argue. Gamatsu laughed from beside him. XXXXX. Day 7. Naruto tapped his foot impatiently as he waited for Jiraiya to show up. The man had told him he was going to be late, but he'd been standing around for at least an hour and he was already annoyed. Naruto opened his mouth to yell at his teacher when he saw him step into the training ground, but his mouth fell open in shock when he saw who was behind him. He quickly composed himself and smiled happily at the person who was accompanying Jiraiya. Yamato smiled at Naruto as he gave him a small wave in greeting. Naruto, this is Yamato. Jiraiya grinned, shooting the boy a knowing smile as he introduced another old friend. He's agreed to help you train so you can take care of your chakra problem. If it was possible, Naruto's grin got wider. XX yesterday XX. Gamakichi and Gamatsu waved their farewells as Naruto dispelled them. The boy turned to grin at Jiraiya, who nodded his head in approval. Good work, you really had me worried there for a while. Jiraiya chuckled. When the Kyuubi's chakra started to leak out, I was afraid of what might have happened. The furballs, we have a strained partnership. He's willing to screw me over if he can get out. Naruto said slowly. He shook his head and slammed his fist into his palm. But forget about him. Now that I have access to the part of his chakra that was sealed inside my chakra system, I should be able to take on Orochimaru no problem. Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Jiraiya cautioned, making Naruto give him a puzzled look. Just because you managed to tap into the chakra doesn't mean you can fully utilize it yet. Huh. Even without the Kyuubi's chakra, your chakra reserves and endurance were nothing to laugh at. However, you've got to keep in mind that the Kyuubi's chakra is vastly different from your own, so you're going to have to find a way to use it. Jiraiya explained. But I already can, Naruto protested. Okay then, try using it again, Jiraiya ordered, flexing his fingers as he gestured for his godson to begin. Naruto arched an eyebrow at him but complied, closing his eyes and focusing on that feeling he had when he called on the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto grinned when he felt the power course through his body again, opening his eyes to look at his hands as his nails turned to claws. The boy yelped in surprise when his body suddenly gave out and he collapsed onto the ground, groaning when he felt the Kyuubi's chakra slip away. What the hell? Naruto gasped from his position on the ground. He slowly pushed himself off the ground as Jiraiya nodded. Just as I thought, Jiraiya nodded. Your control is way off balance, and worse yet your body is rejecting the Kyuubi's chakra. What? How can I explain it? Jiraiya sighed, rubbing his temples before turning to face Naruto. Look, your chakra is different from the Kyuubi's. While it may be in your chakra system, it isn't necessarily your chakra you're using. It's a foreign substance. Not only is your body reacting to the Kyuubi's chakra like a poison, but because there's so much of a difference in chakra, your control is shot to nothing and your chakra system completely shuts down. Shuts down? Is that even possible? Naruto asked. It only happens when someone's chakra control is shit. Jiraiya said. It's like a battery. A charged battery has enough energy to last for quite a while. That energy is used for jutsu and other such things for battles. However, if the battery is overcharged, it'll burn out. Your chakra control with your own chakra is adequate and you can perform jutsu pretty well, but the Kyuubi's chakra is so different and in such great amounts your system is rejecting it and the control is thrown so off balance your system temporarily crashes. But when I summoned Gamabunta I used it just fine. Naruto argued. That's because you immediately released the chakra and used it to summon him. Jiraiya pointed out, summoning any boss summon takes a lot of chakra, so your lack of control over the Kyuubi's chakra was ignored in this case. Even then, you weren't able to maintain the Kyuubi's chakra for very long. So whenever I use the Kyuubi's chakra for more than a few seconds I'll burn out. Naruto exclaimed, that couldn't happen. Unless you learn how to control the Kyuubi's chakra like you do with your own, yeah. Jiraiya laughed. You do just fine on your own, but if you add the Kyuubi's chakra to the mix, your chakra control could be compared to a toddler's. No way. Whenever I used the Kyuubi's chakra before it didn't cause any problems. But it isn't the Kyuubi's chakra to use anymore. The Sannin pointed out teasingly. Whenever you asked the Kyuubi for help, he was always regulating how much of his chakra you were using. But since he can't do that when the chakra is sealed for you to use only, you're gonna have to learn how to control it yourself. Naruto groaned, holding his head in despair. He hadn't expected this. He thought that having free access to part of the Kyuubi's chakra would be a godsend, but he didn't know it would shoot his chakra control down the drain. Any ideas how we can fix this? Naruto asked, clearly depressed. I might have an idea, Jiraiya said thoughtfully, giving Naruto some sense of hope. But we'll put this aside for now. What? I need to use the Kyuubi's chakra now. Baby steps, Naruto. We can't focus on one thing only. Jiraiya said as he got into a fighting stance. Let's just practice taijutsu for now. Your fighting style still needs work. Feel free to throw any jutsu you want at me. Naruto grumbled and took up the fighting stance Jiraiya had shown him. He really hoped that whatever Jiraiya was planning would help him gain control over the Kyuubi's chakra that was available to him. XXXXX. Pleased to meet you, Naruto. Yamato smiled at the Jinchuriki, bowing as he introduced himself. I'll be aiding in your chakra control training from here on out. Really? What can you do to help me? Naruto asked, feigning skepticism. He was overjoyed to see Yamato again, but unfortunately he had to act like a stranger before becoming his friend again. I talked with the Hokage and with Kakashi about our little problem with the Kyuubi's chakra. Jiraiya explained. The Hokage was troubled when he heard that you were attempting to control the Kyuubi's chakra, but I assured him there is no danger to breaking the seal itself. He agreed that it would be best if you learned to control the chakra in case you had problems with the Kyuubi later. So, Naruto asked expectantly. So we discussed the issue, and Kakashi suggested that Yamato here could help you control the Kyuubi's chakra. Jiraiya grinned. When Kakashi-senpai recommended me for helping with your training, I could not refuse. Yamato smiled. My talents are certain to aid you with your training. How? You see, I have the first Hokage's Mokuden abilities. Yamato explained. His powers were used to control the tailed beasts and, essentially, their chakra as well. In short, he'll act as the regulator for your chakra since the Kyuubi can't. Jiraiya grinned. He'll help you control your chakra and help your body adapt to it so you can eventually control it by yourself. Awesome. Naruto grinned as he turned towards the Mokuden user. Let's get started, Yamato-sensei. The man nodded and performed a few hand seals, creating a few wooden pillars that erupted from the earth. Naruto stood in the center of the pillars, looking around expectantly. Go ahead and concentrate your chakra. Yamato smiled, sitting down on the ground as he extended his hand towards Naruto. A symbol for sit was written on his hand. Try using the Kyuubi's chakra and I'll make sure it doesn't short out your system. Got it. Naruto nodded and started gathering his chakra. After letting his chakra rise and drop, something Hinata had taught him to warm up for chakra exercises, Naruto concentrated on focusing the Kyuubi's chakra. As he felt the chakra flow through his system, he felt his muscles strain and his legs slowly start to give out. Naruto concentrated on reining the chakra that was beginning to slip away again. It was hard to maintain control, but he hadn't slipped up yet, even if the chakra seemed to be all over the place. Even if it's only a fraction of the Kyuubi's chakra, it is still quite extraordinary, Yamato commented as he kept the chakra from draining Naruto's body. Are you having trouble containing it? Jiraiya asked as he watched Naruto. No, I'm just saying that if this is only a fraction of the Kyuubi's chakra, then it really makes me wonder how much chakra the boy would have if all of it was at his disposal. I certainly wouldn't want to fight him in that case. Jiraiya chuckled, unconsciously rubbing a spot on his chest, remembering how the blonde had almost killed him in their past life when he changed into his four-tailed form during a training session. Of course, the scar was no longer there, as it had been dealt to him in the far future. But if he learns to control the Kyuubi, I think he'd become one of the most dangerous shinobi in the world. Raising the next legend, are we? Yamato smirked humorously. But of course, legends will be told years from now about how the great Naruto Uzumaki became the most powerful ninja in the land, and how the gallant Jiraiya taught him everything he knows. Jiraiya exclaimed, throwing his head back and laughing like a maniac. Hey, what are you laughing about over there, Ero-sensei? Naruto asked suspiciously, wondering if he was making fun of him and his crappy control. Ignore him, Naruto-kun. Yamato called over to him. I'm going to ease up on the control a bit so you can try to channel more chakra for yourself. Get ready. Right, Naruto nodded, tuning out his sensei's laughter as he concentrated. He shut his eyes tight as he tried to gather more of the Kyuubi's chakra by himself. And promptly fell to the ground as his chakra system shut down again. Darn it, Naruto shouted, hoisting himself up again as his systems rebooted. Again. Yes, try to take it a little slower this time, Yamato advised the boy. Yamato let out an amused chuckle as the boy yelped and fell over again when his crazy control shorted out his system again. Once more, Naruto yelled as he tried again. Only to fail once again. Fucking, I won't give up. Naruto declared as he got back up again. I'll get the hang of this. Just you wait. Jiraiya smiled as he watched his student practice channeling the Kyuubi's chakra. After everything that had happened, even burdened with his failures in the past, the boy still pressed on. He didn't give up or despair, but was trying for a better, brighter future. He'll do it this time, Jiraiya smiled to himself. Minato and Kushina have faith in their son, and as his godfather I must also support him. He'll be the one to create an era of peace, I know it. Jiraiya's eyes widened as he suddenly remembered something. It was an important matter he had almost forgotten, and seeing Naruto do his best in training had reminded him. Grinning from ear to ear, Jiraiya pulled out his manuscript and writing pen. Almost forgot. I need to get started on my next novel soon. The title, what was it again? That's right. Damn it. Jiraiya chuckled, looking at Naruto once before turning back to the paper in front of him. Smiling, he wrote down the name of his next book. The Tale of Naruto Uzumaki. This'll be a bestseller. I can already tell. Jiraiya grinned as he began to write. XXXXX. Shikamaru dived out of the way just before Choji barreled into him. The Nara spat on the ground, noting his bruises and dirty clothes with disdain. Asuma stood on the opposite side of the training ground, clapping his hands in applause at Shikamaru's successful dodge. Good work, Shikamaru, the man said from around his cigarette. Looks like you're finally getting used to the weights. Shikamaru sighed as he glanced down at the weights wrapped around his ankles. Asuma had taken a page out of Guy's book and given him weights to help improve his speed. Since his opponent was a long-range fighter, Asuma thought it best for him to gain some speed if he had any hope of dodging her wide attacks or getting in close for his shadow jutsus to work. For Shikamaru, the only upside was the fact that increased speed would help him run away faster. Maybe I should just forfeit, the boy mused to himself before someone smacked him upside the head. Oh no you don't, Ino huffed, crossing her arms as she stared down at him. You're the only person on our team that made it to the finals. We need someone to represent us so we don't look bad. Shikamaru gave the girl a tired look. He honestly didn't care what anyone thought about their team, but Choji and Ino apparently did. His best friend had instantly volunteered to help Shikamaru train for the finals and to further his own training. The boy was a little disheartened about how quickly he lost to Dosu and wanted to make up for it somehow. However, it was a whole different matter for Ino. Come on, sensei, Ino said, whirling around towards Asuma. Teach me some ninjutsu. Shikamaru had almost been amused by her reaction to how easily she had been beaten by Sakura in the preliminaries. She had spent a few days coming to terms with the fact that Sakura had, without her knowing, stepped into a whole different league. She was far stronger than Ino was. The blonde had thought her family's mind control techniques would ensure her victory over Sakura, but her defeat had been a wake-up call. She was weak, and Ino wanted to get stronger so she could catch up to her rival. Or she just wants to get strong enough to impress Sasuke, Shikamaru mused before quickly diving out of the way before Choji could run him over. Asuma glanced at Ino as he rubbed his chin thoughtfully, puffing out some smoke from his cigarette as he thought. He had been happy when she came to him asking for more intense training and saying she didn't want to rely on her family's jutsu anymore, but Asuma wasn't really sure what he could teach her. Well, before I make you do anything, let's try a little test. Asuma suggested, taking out a piece of paper from his pocket and handing it to Ino. Here ya go. What am I supposed to do with this? Ino demanded. Concentrate some chakra into it. I want to see what your chakra affinity is, Asuma said, holding up his hand when the girl opened her mouth. I'll answer your questions after you've done so. Ino gave her sensei an annoyed look before placing the paper in between her hands and exerted her chakra into it. After a few moments, she showed him the paper and was met with a surprised Asuma who raised his eyebrows in surprise as the state of the paper. Well, that's certainly interesting. XXXXX. Day 9. MMPH. UHN. Gaara groaned as he raised his arm to shield against the sunlight that filtered through the window. He could hear birds chirping outside and a soft breeze that made the blinds rattle a bit. The Ikibi container groaned and stretched, savoring the warmth of the blankets that covered him, and he cocooned himself within the covers. He blinked when a thought suddenly dawned on him. I was asleep. Gaara shot up from the bed, looking around frantically, expecting to be inside some form of ruins that he had caused by falling asleep. Wait, no, he was in a bed. He was in a house. One that was intact. He glanced at his gourd that was lying against a wall and noticed his shirt was neatly folded on the dresser next to his bed. His memories finally caught up to him as more of his drowsiness disappeared. Gaara smiled brightly as he remembered the night his seal had been modified. His regular emotionless mask quickly replaced it though. While he wasn't a bloodthirsty killer anymore, he never wanted anyone to see him smiling so uncharacteristically like that. It hurt his face. The auburn-haired boy yawned, something that was new to him, and quietly got out of bed. After putting on his shirt and attaching his gourd of sand onto his back again, he lifted the blinds and looked out the window. The sun was high in the sky, so Gaara guessed it had to be somewhere around noon. He heard some shuffling from the floor above him and quickly made his way upstairs. He could hear two voices conversing as he stepped into Naruto's room. "I didn't see Haku at all yesterday. Did she ever come back home?" Gaara heard Naruto ask. "She came by to pick up the lunch I had made for her while you were training with Jiraiya-san and Yamato-san. She mentioned that if she wasn't home by midnight she'd stay with Anko-san." Yuzora's voice replied. I'm worried about those two getting along so Gaara." Naruto grinned at his friend as he stepped into the kitchen. Gaara nodded his head towards both of them in greeting. Yuzura bowed towards him as she turned away from what she was cooking for a moment. "Gaara-san, you're finally up." Yuzura smiled. "Would you like to join us for lunch?" "Ah, I'd like that." Gaara nodded, yawning again as fatigue seemed to attack him. He couldn't remember the last time he felt this relaxed as he tried to keep himself from nodding off. He slowly walked over to the table and took a seat next to Naruto, who chuckled at his tired face. Gaara turned toward his fellow demon container as he rubbed his eyes. "How long was I asleep?" Gaara asked. 5 days. Naruto answered. "Don't worry, you didn't miss much. I'm surprised no one came to look for you." "I'd be surprised if they did," Gaara retorted as Yuzura placed a plate in front of him. The food smelled delicious, though he didn't know what it was. Gaara took a bit out of his meal. It was cheesy and spicy. "Someone would only be sent to find me if the invasion was tomorrow and I wasn't with my team. Anytime before then and anyone from Suna will gladly put a few miles between themselves and me. It'll get better. After this invasion is done you can show everyone how much you've changed," Naruto said after swallowing his food. Yuzura sat down on his other side with her own plate of food. "And then after that, you can become the Kazekage again." "I hope you're right." Gaara sighed again. He turned towards Naruto and gave him a small smile while giving Yuzura a gracious nod as well. "I don't believe I've properly thanked you two for sealing the Ikibi properly. Sleeping is very relaxing. I guess it must feel pretty amazing for someone who couldn't sleep at all before." Naruto laughed in amusement. Gaara seemed fascinated by the concept of sleeping and looked like he was ready for another nap. Naruto would have probably let Gaara do just that if it wasn't for the idea that suddenly popped into his head. "Hey, Gaara." Gaara raised an eyebrow at the Kyuubi container questioningly. "You want to get a head start on showing people you're not such a bad guy?" Gaara blinked confusedly in response. XXXXX. Lee yawned as he leaned back against his pillow in the hospital bed he was lying in. His left arm and leg were in casts, a testament to his failure in the Chunin exam preliminaries. The taijutsu specialist sighed miserably as he sank lower beneath his sheets, more than a little annoyed at the fact that all he could do was sit here and bide his time until his limbs healed. He couldn't even train. Even small exercises like running around on one hand or juggling a boulder with his foot were out of the question, as the nurses always captured him and put him back into bed whenever they saw him exercising. Lee had only relented when Gai-sensei had insisted that he needed his rest if his wounds were to heal as quickly as possible. But it was frustrating. His precious youth was wasting away in this hospital. Oh, he couldn't wait until he was discharged. Lee was brought out of his grumblings when he heard a soft knock at the door. The boy smiled, welcoming any visit that he was paid. Guy and Tenten had visited him frequently, and even Neji had paid him a short visit, even if Guy was the one who had forced him to. Talking to them was the only source of excitement the boy had. "Come in," Lee shouted happily as he made himself comfortable, ready to receive his sensei's youthful speeches or Tenten's news about her day. Lee blinked when a splotch of yellow came into his sight. "Yo, bushy brow." Naruto grinned as he stepped inside the room. He chuckled a bit at Lee's surprised expression. "Naruto-kun," Lee exclaimed, not expecting to see the boy he had quickly befriended during the exams. "Why are you here?" "What, can't I visit a friend who's in the hospital?" Naruto smiled as he made his way over to the boy. "How you feeling? Must suck to be cooped up in here all day." Naruto hated hospitals and had been a frequent visitor in the past due to all the dangerous missions he always seemed to be saddled with. It was probably worse for Lee since he'd get withdrawals if he wasn't exercising daily. Ah, things are very quiet. The nurses here are most youthful for their constant checking up on me, but they always prevent me from exercising. Lee sighed, though he smiled gratefully at the blonde for his company. It is most unyouthful for me to remain idle for so long. I'll bet, you're a fanatic when it comes to hard work. Naruto laughed. He smiled at Lee and gestured towards the door. You know, I'm not the only one who came to visit. Lee's eyes widened when another person he recognized came in. But unlike Naruto, it wasn't someone he was on good terms with. The person standing at the door was none other than Gaara, the person who had dealt him the injuries that were impeding him. Hello. Gaara offered a quiet greeting. You, Lee accused, pointing a finger at the Suna ninja. What are you doing here? Hey, Lee, chill out. Gaara actually had something he wanted to tell you, Naruto said, stepping aside as Gaara walked over to the bedside. Lee's breath hitched, wondering what the auburn-haired boy wanted with him. He had heard rumors about the boy from other Suna ninja, and it was even speculated he had killed a team during the exams. Was he here to finish what he had started in the preliminaries? I'm sorry, Gaara said simply, succeeding in shocking the bowl-cut sporting ninja. Gaara closed his eyes as Lee stared at him with a bewildered expression. I may have gone too far during our preliminary match. Breaking your arm and leg was unnecessary to say the least, though to be honest I can be excitable when fighting and I react violently when I'm in a battle. I never intended to do permanent damage. Oh, well, that's quite alright, Lee exclaimed, quickly composing himself and silently wondering how genuine the rumors he heard were. The boy actually seemed rather nervous, and not at all like the crazed sociopath he had heard about. Rest assured, my wounds are nothing permanent. They should be healed up within a few weeks. That's good, Gaara sighed, sounding like he was genuinely relieved. Gaara's really sorry about what he did, Naruto put in. He might be a bit extreme when it comes to fighting, but he's a great guy once you get to know him. I'm not surprised if you've heard rumors about my unstable behavior or questionable sanity. Gaara added without an expression. I suppose the rumors are also my fault, since I haven't really done anything to help them. Well, Guy-sensei always tells me not to judge an individual based on what others have said. Only form an opinion when you have judged the individual for yourself. Lee smiled, feeling his nervousness slowly disappear. You don't seem like a bad person to me, Gaara-san. Even still, what I did was. It's fine, Lee insisted, waving the boy off. We're ninja, we are not by any means invincible, and injuries like these are bound to happen at some point. You won our fight fair and square. Do not worry about what has happened, but be glad that you have made it to the finals. You and Naruto-kun shall let the flames of your youth explode when the finals come around, and I will be cheering for the both of you. Gaara just stared at him, unsure of what to say. Lee gave the boy a perplexed look. Did I say something wrong? Lee asked. Nah, Gaara's just not used to dealing with people. Naruto spoke up for the Aikibi container. See, people see him as a dangerous person, but no one really takes the time to see who he really is. He's kinda like me in that sense. People see us as freaks for being a bit different, so he doesn't have a lot of friends. Lee's expression saddened a bit. He knew all about what it felt like to be treated differently because you were a freak or dead last. He was ridiculed for trying to be a ninja who couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, and he had heard how Naruto was treated for being the failure of his class. Don't mind people like that, Lee declared, flashing Gaara his nice guy pose as best he could from in his bed. I will happily be your friend, Gaara-san. Gaara blinked, clearly surprised. But, I said it's fine, Lee insisted. All has already been forgiven. In honor of our newfound friendship, as soon as I'm discharged from the hospital we should go out to eat. Better yet, we should spar. You use your sand expertly. It was a crafty jutsu and caught me completely off guard. Blocked my attacks perfectly as well. It's not really a jutsu, Gaara informed the exuberant ninja. It's just something I can do naturally. UWOOOH. You amaze me, Gaara-san. Your flames of youth burn bright. Lee shouted. His eyes were lit with a determined fire. In our rematch I will show you just how powerful my youthful flames are as well. I shall not hold back. That's good, Gaara said, clearly a bit bewildered, but he gave Lee a small smile in return. Naruto grinned as he slowly excused himself from the room. Lee seemed to be having a good time as he continued to talk animatedly to his new friend while Gaara just sat and listened. Even if he was only humoring Lee, Naruto could tell that Gaara was overjoyed to have made a friend. Naruto closed the door behind him as he made his way down the hall towards the lobby. However, familiar voices suddenly made him slow his pace. What should I do? Just calm down. I won't just calm down. Look at me, that bug bastard, my arms. Zaku. Think of what Orochimaru-sama will say. How can I, when I'm like this? I've failed. So did I. What do you think will happen to us? Naruto had stopped walking at this point. The door on his left was ajar, and he could hear the scared, panicked voices from the inside. He recognized the voices of two of Orochimaru's subordinates. Two genin from the sound team from the Chunin exams. Now, Naruto's mind was telling him to walk away, ignore what they were saying. And take care of the scum when the invasion started. Even still, something in Naruto made him want to talk to them. Something else made him open the door to their room. And the small part of the innocent, naive boy who thought everyone could get along, the boy who he had been in the past, wanted to get along with them. Naruto stepped into the room, even as the skeptical voice inside his head kept urging him to leave. Zaku and Kin were shocked at the blonde's sudden appearance. What are you doing here? Zaku asked, clearly surprised by Naruto's presence. I came with a friend, to visit another friend who's getting treated here, and I heard you guys talking, so I thought I'd say hi. Naruto laughed uneasily as he rubbed the back of his neck. Calm down, act natural, breathe normal, breathe normal. Zaku said slowly, shooting Kin an unsure look. Kin just stared at the younger boy, looking more than a little lost herself. So, where's that mummy guy? Naruto asked, trying to make conversation. I'm supposed to fight him in the finals. I hope he's not planning to kill me or anything. He should be out training for the finals. Kin put in when Zaku didn't answer. She arched an eyebrow at him, crossing her arms in front of her chest. What are you doing around here? You should be training too, right? I can't train all the time. That wouldn't be any fun. Naruto pouted. Sometimes I just like to hang out with friends when I've got time. Don't you enjoy doing that? HMPH. Kin suddenly huffed and turned away from him. Naruto blinked. Clearly he had upset her somehow. Fuck, when I get my hands on that twerp who jacked up my arms, Zaku mumbled under his breath. Naruto glanced between the two of them. He may not have known them that long. Hell, he only had a civil conversation with them once in the 2 lives he lived, but he could tell something was bothering them. Both were fidgety and squirmed around a bit, and it wasn't because of his sudden visit. Maybe Orochimaru's getting ready to get rid of some broken tools and they caught wind of it. Naruto ignored the cold voice in his head and smiled brightly at the 2 sound ninja. Zaku glared at Naruto as he stood there without saying anything. You find something funny? Zaku asked testily. I didn't even say anything. You were looking at my arms. Zaku claimed, shooting Naruto a pissed-off look as he briefly glanced at his arm casts. Wanna laugh at the cripple, ass? Geez, just because you lost your match doesn't mean you get to act like a complete prick. Naruto countered, returning the boy's glare. What was that, punk? Zaku yelled, sitting up in his bed. You wanna go? Man, screw this. I came here to visit a few friends and I get yelled at. Naruto snapped, throwing up his hands angrily. Fine, I know when I'm not wanted. Naruto turned with a low growl and placed his hand on the door. This is what I get for trying to be nice. A confused voice made him stop. Friend. Naruto turned back towards the 2 ninja. Kin and Zaku were both staring at him with surprised expressions. Words were out of Naruto's mouth before he got time to think about it. Yeah, I could have implied you guys were my friends. So what? Naruto asked. Idiot, since when were we your friends? Kin mumbled, glaring at him. We got along pretty well in that tower before the prelims. You said it yourself. Naruto reminded her. I helped you out when those rain guys were pushing you around, and we had a good conversation. That sounds like friendship to me. You don't just become friends with someone because you had one good conversation. Zaku growled under his breath. Why not? Naruto asked. He wasn't even thinking about what he was saying anymore. I thought you guys seemed pretty nice when we talked. Your jokes about killing me were lacking in taste, but I thought you guys were okay. I thought we were friends. But clearly I was the only one who thought that. Zaku and Kin stared at the kid for a moment before giving each other unsure looks. Kin was the first to speak up. Are we friends? Are we? Naruto redirected the question back at her. Kin was silent for a moment. Why, yes, Kin answered, sounding like she was asking permission for something. Naruto clapped his hands together a few times in applause. Then we are friends. Naruto grinned. That's that. That's that. What's that supposed to mean? Zaku demanded. It doesn't mean anything. Making friends isn't complicated, Naruto retorted, walking over to Zaku and poking him in the head. Stop making things so difficult. Hey, cut that out. Nah, see, this is another thing friends do. Naruto smirked as he continued to poke Zaku's head. Since both his arms were unusable, he couldn't do anything to stop him. We mess with each other. Looks fun. Kin smirked, walking over to the other side of the bed and pulling on Zaku's cheek. Mind if I join in? Go ahead. Naruto laughed as he pulled on Zaku's other cheek. Damn it, you guys, Zaku shouted as they poked and pulled at his face playfully. When my arms heal up you too or soda. Ow, stop it, OWCH, too hard, cut it out, I'm injured, nurse, help. Naruto wasn't even sure what he was doing anymore, but he was having fun doing it. For the next hour or so, he talked with his two new friends from Sound. If their laughter and happy expressions were anything to go by, Naruto was almost certain that he had somehow done a very good thing. XXXXX. Day 13. Oni-chan, where are you going? Oh, Hanabi-chan. Hinata took her hand off the door handle to address her little sister, who gazed up at her with a deep frown on her face. The older girl gave an uneasy laugh as her sister gave her a suspicious look. I'm just going out with a friend, Hinata said as she felt her face heat up a bit. When will you be back? Hanabi persisted. That's none of your concern, Hinata said bluntly, making the smaller girl look at her sister in shocked confusion. Now, if you'll excuse me. Hinata nodded at her little sister before slipping out the door. If one were to look at her face they could easily tell that the girl was puzzled. Hanabi may not have been the most observant or social person in the world, but the one person she thought she knew inside and out was her sister. It wasn't something she liked to admit, but like most other members of the Hyuga family, Hanabi thought her sister was a weakling. She performed pitifully whenever she trained with Neji or her father, and Hanabi almost felt embarrassed to admit that she had beaten her sister on more than one occasion. She understood that her sister really wasn't one who enjoyed fighting, but her weakness and extreme lack of confidence was just sad to look at. And while Hanabi loved her older sister dearly, she couldn't help but feel bitterness towards her at the same time. Since her sister was perceived as a weakling by her father and most of the family, Hanabi was being considered for the position of next Hyuga head. Because of Hinata's constant failures, Hiyashi had decided to focus all his attention on the better heir, and practically forced the intense training all main branch members went through. Her sister was exempted from this because her father didn't want to waste time on a weakling who would never improve. As a result, Hanabi was barely ever allowed out of the house and half of her day was spent training with her father and studying about how to be the best heir she could be. Or how to be the perfect puppet for the Hyuga elders. Regardless, Hanabi couldn't help but resent her sister for this. Hanabi didn't want to be the next heir. It was supposed to be her older sister's duty. Hinata was off having fun with her friends and going on missions while Hanabi was subjected to staying at home and obeying her father's wishes and going along with his plans for her future. Hanabi blamed her sister's weakness for her situation. She also blamed her sister's weakness for not having a capable older sibling to look up to. Still, something had changed about Hinata recently. Their training sessions hadn't improved at all, but it was the smaller things Hanabi noticed. Her sister stood straighter nowadays, and her stutters had completely disappeared. She was still quiet as ever, but even her father's disappointed gaze and Neji's harsh words didn't seem to faze her as much as they used to. Hinata was also going out a lot more often, even when she didn't have a mission or wasn't scheduled with her team for training. She was slowly getting bolder. Hanabi vowed to get to the bottom of this and find out what had caused this change in her sister. A small part of her hoped that whatever was happening to her sister would make her stronger, but she wouldn't get her hopes up. Hanabi thanked her lucky stars when her father sent her to run an errand for him. She was immediately out the door and on her sister's trail. XXXXX. Naruto tapped his foot nervously as he waited for Hinata to show up. They had planned to meet up for training today, but yesterday Naruto had asked her if they could postpone it for a while to do something a little different. The boy grinned as he remembered what he had asked Hinata after their training yesterday. XXXXX. Kaden. Hinata made a continuous spin as a dome of chakra repelled every single one of the dozens of clones Naruto was sending her way. The clones continued to pile on top of her, but each of them was blown away and dispelled. Hinata was able to keep up the barrier for a little over a minute before finally stopping. That was awesome, Hinata. Naruto cheered enthusiastically as he dispelled the rest of his clones that were ready to jump. That's the longest you've ever kept the Kaden going. Why yes, thank you. Hinata smiled as she tried to steady herself. Naruto chuckled when he could practically see the swirls in her eyes. I still can't help but feel dizzy afterwards though. Hey, I guess you'll get used to it eventually. Naruto grinned, holding onto her shoulders to help keep the girl on her feet. The girl blushed